good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is me, Legal Vices, and you know what time it is. It's that time of day where we look at the trial, and the important thing in convicting someone of murder is that they must have what? They must have the mens rea.
What do you got?
I think I can prove to a judge that both of these men had the mens rea.
What the hell is a mens rea?
It's a legal term the lawyers use. It just means the intention to commit a crime.
Okay, come on, let's go.
Mens rea?
Put the cuffs on him.
How could we have gotten mens?
Well, that's what happens when you hit a button. Damn it. All right. I know you love that so much. I'm going to do it all over again. Sorry.
What do you got?
I think I can prove to a judge that both of these men had the mens rea.
What the hell is a mens rea?
It's a legal term the lawyers use. It just means the intention to commit a crime.
Okay, come on, let's go.
Mens rea?
Put the cuffs on him.
How could we have gotten mens rea? We take blood? Can you do it without taking blood? We both use condoms. How is this possible? I want to see a doctor. Can I have an independent blood test?
Money!
I feel sick.
What are you doing?
Mens rea! My God! No!
There, we're back. That's what happens when you drop your lighter on your keyboard. Got my pipe going tonight. It's a real whodunit here. We got it. So we got the Sherlock Holmes pipe here. We got the Calabash pipe out to get to the bottom of this murder mystery. Because the prosecution certainly doesn't seem to be getting to the bottom of it. Now, in all fairness, the prosecution is getting there slowly but surely. There's still nothing going on in the court, so we're kind of waiting here. Court's hanging out there. They'll be doing their thing, I guess, whenever they get doing their thing. How are y'all tonight? Steph, the alternate, I see you lurking. Welcome, Steph. Good to have you here as always. Mods, you're here doing your thing. We love to have the mods. You guys are great. Everybody here in chat, it's awesome to have you here. And those of you that are just listening as you go about your day, as you just have us on in the background, in the office, at home, on the road, wherever it is, you got. Yeah, see, I got you there. It's great to have you guys here. If you get a chance, come back later and hit that like button. You guys are learning. See, right now we've got 194 consecutive viewers, and we've already got 76 likes. We're still not even halfway there. We're almost there. But hey, everybody, hit that like button. Hit that like button so I don't have to keep talking about it. You should just know by now. You get it here, you just hit the like button as part of getting here. And before we go, we got a couple things to do here. First, hit that like button, hit it. Make sure everybody hits the like button. I need it. You need it. We need it. So everybody knows about the channel and we can all have fun with hundreds and thousands of more people watching these things. Hit that subscribe button if you want to. We hit 32,500 yesterday. Now the push is on for 33,000. That's the next goal. Hit 33,000. Hopefully we'll be able to do that in the next couple of weeks. So there we go with that. But we've got 2 super chats out of the gate already so fast that I don't have them marked. We have Marv White saying late. I was a little bit late, I admit. I was here, but I wasn't on. So technically I was here, but I guess I hadn't fired up the grill yet. So I'll take the late thing. Steph, the alternate's always lurking. Flux, I got my book. Everybody buy Steve's book. Hi, Jeff. I take it you mean you got Stephen N. Gosney's book. I don't have it with me. I actually have it on the table because I was reading it a minute ago. Go to crimelaw.net and buy one of Steve's books. Those of you that know Steve Gosney will know what I'm talking about because he's the only person that grifts harder than I do. So what I wanted to say was I was going back through some of the messages and I missed a lot of super chats yesterday. I don't know how I missed them. Perhaps chat was just flowing a little too quickly for me to notice. It may have been the vodka. I don't know. But I wanted to go back and read the super chats that I don't remember reading yesterday. I skipped quite a few but in the last hour. One thing we had was who was it here? It was Kyle Cowden. He'd said something that I thought was mysterious and I never got to the bottom of it. He said, I have an armiger that bore arms I can't. And I didn't know what that meant, but apparently he super chatted again. Thank you so much for that, by the way, Kyle, if you're still here. If not, come back later and you'll hear me read this. Said what that meant, but was too abbreviated. My ancestor was granted arms, aka coat of, and an entire town is named after my family, so no title for me. That's when we were talking about the what is that stupid buy a foot of land in Scotland and be a lord and lady BS thing. The Apostle Steve can confirm Vice Squad chat rules. Absolutely. I have the best chat on the internet. Full stop. End of story. And those of you that disagree, those of you other channel proprietors and operators, all of you other content creators that take umbrage with me saying that I have the greatest chat, we probably have some overlapping chat, so you can kind of coattail that one. The Apostle Steve says, "Yeah, I'm into her. I think we're talking there about the about kind of the weird old I don't know if she's old. The weird wild haired little yellow school bus driver, teacher, coroner, medical examiner lady. She was interesting." A Ron says, "But what about guys with natural boobs?" Oh, we were talking about noses and boobs and whatnot, of course, as we always do. Aaron's wondering, what about guys with natural boobs? Well, hey, I've got them. Leonie says, how is this amazing chat today? The amazing chat is always great. And Nancy Jennings yesterday said, Ortiz killed 4, but Jeff can kill a 5th. That was definitely the vodka talking. Legendary Razor says, Merry Christmas from the family. Robert Earl Keen. Best Christmas song. Alrighty. And then the last 4 chats of the day, I don't even remember getting. D Watt says, thanks for the content. You are based. And thank you, D Watt, for giving that super huge $100 chat yesterday. That was so very kind of you. A Ron says, Bruin case. You were talking about the Bruin case. And Marv White, here we got, this is where we get today late. And I've got my book by Steve's book from Flux. There, we've caught up with all the super chats. And I apologize for missing those yesterday. If I did, in fact, miss them, I just don't remember reading those. Amy Lynn says, why are we still at 32? Come on. Heart vices. Well, I heart myself. So yeah, come on, guys. We're doing good. I mean, we're actually growing. We're growing at a steady pace. Of course, I would like to wake up tomorrow to 1 million subscribers, but that's not going to happen. We've just got to take it slow. And how do we do this? Well, it all happens when you hit that like button. The more you like the videos that I do, the more that it puts YouTube on my radar and puts me on their radar, I guess is what I should say. They recommend the videos. They come up on the home page. They come up on people's recommended videos. They come up on the little cards at the end. That is due mostly to the likes and post streaming content. So that's where we were still waiting here for Bejar County to start the trial. Again, it's nothing new. The shenanigans going on in the courtroom here are nothing new because if you remember, day 1 started almost 2 hours late because one of the jurors decided to get stuck in traffic or some weird thing like that. The next day started 15 minutes early. They start a few minutes late normally. We're kind of pushing the envelope here. We're 11 minutes into it. And I don't know, I guess we'll just have to keep waiting. If you remember what happened yesterday, this is something I found out later, and I don't know how many of you followed up on this. They said they just suddenly stopped the hearing yesterday and said, okay, we have to take a break for a few minutes. And that ended up into being a whole lunch hour thing. Turns out what happened apparently is one of this trial is so bizarre. It's just out there in bizarro world. The way the prosecution is handling the early stages of this with the body cam footage and the interminable interrogation video, the guy showing up late, the juror showing up late the first day, the prosecutor quitting in the middle of lunch hour on Thursday. I mean, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen that a prosecutor just gets up and walks out in the middle of a trial, in the middle of a daytime, in the middle of a lunch hour. But what happened was apparently yesterday, one of the jurors passed out. One of the jurors passed out, apparently. And that's why the court said we have to take a break for a few minutes, was to deal with the juror who fainted. And apparently, from what the reports are, the frizzy redheaded medical examiner lady was actually the person that came and treated and helped the juror before they could be removed. And I guess the juror went off to get checked out. They removed the juror from the jury panel and appointed one of the alternates to take that juror's place. Legendary Racing says, you read my Robert Earl Keen chat 3 times now, so here's another 5. I deny it. I never read it. I never read it once. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. The guy coughing, sweating with a fever. I don't think it was the witness. And it would take more than one person to remove him from the courtroom. He was a hefty guy. Odd. We ready for the cross-examination of the medical examiner? They did that yesterday, I think, in the afternoon. John Robine, he covered that yesterday. Nothing really. I mean, things kind of seemed to move a little bit during the afternoon. They got to some more of the confession. Again, they watched more of the confession trial. This time, they watched excerpts from the confession trial and read transcripts. So if you watch the afternoon session, you got to see some of that confession 3 times. The whole idea was the prosecution was just showing that he wasn't coerced. He volunteered the information. He wasn't under any duress. And obviously the defense felt otherwise. Esprit Flex had probably hadn't eaten and was sitting so long it can happen when you stand up. Yeah, this trial is just kind of being weird and crazy. They never came back after lunch. Yeah, they did. They came back after lunch. I watched it. They came back. I didn't come back after lunch, but everybody else did. And John Robine, he went through the afternoon session today on his channel. So if you want to go back and watch the trial, that's still there and available for everybody. And I assume I haven't talked to him this morning yet, so I assume he's going to take over at lunchtime if he doesn't have anything else going. We'll just have to wait and see. And what do we got here? I almost read that twice. Lainey, thank you. Good morning, and thanks for suggesting John's channel. You're welcome. I hope you read the super chat that I just read that I didn't read yesterday. I apologize for missing your super chat yesterday. Best sailor song: Pirate Looks at 40 or Edmund Fitzgerald. Of those two, Edmund Fitzgerald is a great sailor song. But probably my all-around favorite love to sing it song would be Stan Rogers' Barrett's Privateers. That's probably my all-around favorite sailor song / sea shanty. It's a sea shanty. My favorite sea shanty, which is also a sailor song, I guess, would be Stan Rogers' Barrett's Privateers. There's so many good songs about the sea. Some sailory songs that aren't sea shanties. And again, most of my favorites are by Stan Rogers. Northwest Passage, fantastic song. The Mary Ellen Carter Rides Again, great song. Just go listen to anything by Stan Rogers. Then you'll have your fill of delightful sailor songs. The Kitty Man. Oh, we love the Kitty Man. The Trailer Park Boys singing the Kitty Man. All right, that's up there. That's up there as well. Mads likes some. She likes some Stan Rogers too. Established titles, Porcelain Thunder. It's established titles. I think you've been reading or listening wrong. Established titles. The sea is always right. Stop saying crap like that on my channel. That's gonna become the phrase that gets you banned from my channel. Stop saying crap like the sea is always right. Shame on you. Shame on you. Have you covered the Lake Erie pirate case? I didn't know there was a Lake Erie pirate case. So email me links to stories about it, or videos preferably, so that I can remember and you can do the work for me. Because I'll never remember this and I don't have anything to write with here. So email me at thelegalvices@gmail.com. That way it'll be there and I can add it to the list. And the more links and the longer the video or other stories you can provide, the better. All right, we've got oh, somebody's lurking there. We got some sort of balding head. The Popeye the Sailor Man. It's not a bad sea song, I guess. Oh, psych. I know a guy who had a bad sweating problem. He would sweat in the freezing winter under no stress. Weird. My body temperature is a little higher than normal. I'm like half a degree warmer than most people. I don't really. I sweat a lot in the middle of summer, of course, everybody does. But I'm just hot all the time. Even in winter, I just sleep with like a light sheet over me. I very rarely have a blanket on me. Well, at one point, I actually got the gas company, the gas authorities here in Korea investigated me because they thought I was screwing around with the gas meter. Everybody else's, it was February, and everybody else's gas meter, it'd be like, 60, 70, $80 a month, which is a lot here in Korea for heating gas. Mine was about $2, and they thought I just had to be messing with it because you turn your heater on in the winter, and they checked it, and I just don't turn the heater on. It takes a little bit of gas to cook, and I tend to take cold showers too, like just even in the winter, just to heat up the water just enough to kind of take the edge off the cold water. So I almost never use my heater, and that was kind of funny. Uh, getting investigated because I'm always hot. That's me. Legal vices, always hot. Flux, the sea is always right, just like women. Ha 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 ha. Go away, Flux. But not really. Don't go away. All right. Well, we saw a head, so we know there's people in the courtroom. All right. So that's we're getting slightly closer to trial, I suppose. Leanie, I figured you would get to it eventually. At worst, you say it at your next stream, or at best, repeat 5 times. Well, as far as I know, I got to it this stream and only read it once. Chat, you're degenerate. Isaac Baruch, wholesome gabagool art. We saw head, lol. Shame on you. Shame on all of you degenerates. Well, all right, we're sitting here at exactly 507 concurrent viewers and only 233 likes. And someone has decided they no longer want to be a subscriber to my channel. So we're back down to exactly 32,500 subscribers. Any of you haven't subscribed to my channel, you got nothing else better to do while you're waiting for the trial to start. So get down there and hit that subscribe button if you haven't. I mean, what the hell else you got to do right now while you're waiting? Oh, I know what you can do while you're waiting. Hit that subscribe button and the like button. If you're already subscribed, just hit the like button. If you think you're subscribed, check down there and make double sure that you're still subscribed, because YouTube, they do that occasional unsubscribe you from somebody's channel for no reason. But please hit that like button. That's the important thing. And you got nothing but time. Nothing's going on in the courtroom. Nothing's going on there in the great state of Texas, county of Bexar, over there in Bayer County. Oh, and someone else just decided they don't want to subscribe. Shame on you, you degenerates. Now we're not even at 32,500 anymore. Did I upset somebody? Did I hurt your feelings so you felt you had to unsubscribe? Well, that's just too damn bad, isn't it? Oh, more leaving. All right, here we go. We have the alleged murderer coming into court. All right, everybody, hit that like button. This is your last chance until I start talking about it again 3 minutes from now, because nobody did it. Hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. Everybody, you guys rock. I didn't say unsubscribe. We just lost 4 subscribers. Shame on all of you guys. All right, hit that subscribe button. Resubscribe those of you that just unsubscribed, and those of you that aren't already subscribed, subscribe more. All right, looks like we're settling in here, so we'll stop talking about liking and subscribing for the moment. Oh, thank you to whoever hit the subscribe button. All right. Oh, he's in the stare down at the camera again. He likes to do that at the beginning of every day. He just likes to get in a staring contest with the camera. Oh, he's not sure which camera's on now. Exactly. Hit the like, you degenerates. Thank you, Rita. Panda milk. Ah, our daily reminder to never go to South Texas. apologies to anyone in South Texas. Please don't unsubscribe my channel just because nobody seems to like South Texas. All right, all rise for the jury. Ooh, junk shot. Murderer's junk shot.
Doctor up here.
What?
We're here for the jury. Go ahead and bring the jury in, please.
Get some doctor up here. What, do we need a doctor already?
Looks a little darker over here. Something missing. There we go. Thank you.
What? All right, we're back up to almost 32,500. Yeah. Every time you say hit like, I go back to Starship Troopers with the propaganda video. I'm doing my part. He's got Ratty Dave's eyes. All right. Get the stash all ready to go there. All right. You just said hit the button. If we're already subscribed, then it'll unsubscribe us. Yeah, just make sure you're subscribed to the channel. How's that? If you're not subscribed, please do it. Don't hit the button indiscriminately. Make the decision to stay subscribed or to subscribe in the first place. All right. Good morning, Judge. Nice to see you here. 25 minutes late. All right.
Witness. Your Honor. Yes, sir.
Super chats. We'll read those during the breaks and normal lulls in the hearing. Thankfully, there's lulls in the hearing about every 2 minutes, so we'll be good with that. Super chats not required, but they will all be read, assuming I don't forget to read some of them like I did yesterday. Not required. I'll try to engage with chat as much as possible, as long as it doesn't interfere with the stream with the trial. So I want to talk over everybody too much. So we'll do what we can. So chat away. I'll try to address things, but every super chat will be read because you're supporting me. So I'll make sure it gets read one way or the other. No Negan, no try. Yeah, haven't seen Negan. I didn't see Negan out there in the courtroom. I hope Negan's sitting next to Flower Woman here. How are we doing on the resolution? Yeah. Oop, let's make sure we are at maximum resolution. Enhance. Okay. Boy, this trial sucks. The other trial going on in Texas now is really fascinating. The cop that shot a woman through her window without announcing himself. Why couldn't I have waited for that trial? Oh, you've got mail.
You may proceed. Yes, sir.
Ranger Salinas, my name's Joel Perez. This is Raymond Fuchs, and we represent Mr. Ortiz here to my right. You testified that you've been a peace officer 29 years.
That's correct, sir.
And when did you join the Webb County SO?
Back in 93.
Okay. And you said you were there 4 years with them through basically 97?
Approximately, yes.
And is that when you went to DPS?
Yes, sir.
And then you went to this Joint Operations Center?
No, I joined DPS and then I went to CID, then the Rangers. Then I was assigned to the Joint Center.
Okay. So when did you become a Ranger?
In 2011.
Okay, so you've been a Ranger now, approximately what, 11 years?
That's correct.
And what are your duties as a Ranger?
Our primary duties is major criminal investigations. We assist other local, state, and federal agencies with their investigations, border security, public corruption investigations.
In your career, how many investigations have you conducted?
Might be in the thousands.
Okay. And how many interrogations have you conducted?
Might be in the hundreds.
And searches?
As well, in the
Okay.
hundreds.
So when you entered into the interrogation room, do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
at some point you asked Mr. Ortiz if he was willing to give a statement,
That's correct.
and he said no.
I believe so.
Okay. And you still proceeded to go forward.
I still read him his rights. Yes, sir.
Okay. And so, again, no doesn't mean no to you.
It depends on the context you're using it.
Well, you asked him, do you want to talk? And he said no, basically, is what happened, right?
Yes, he said
Okay.
no.
Now, as the interview progresses, he's not cooperating with you all, right?
He's not being truthful, no.
Okay. In your opinion, he's not being truthful at the time, because at the time, I mean, the only information you have is from Erica Pena, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And as you're going forward, number one, when you first entered the interrogation room, it was 3:21, right?
I believe so.
So he had already been there like an hour, maybe close to an hour.
More or less.
And you met with Officer Calderon, with Captain Calderon, to kind of figure out a strategy.
Correct. Talk about what we had so far.
And so you, like Captain Calderon, have experience in interrogation techniques, correct?
Correct.
So with interrogations, how many interrogations have you conducted?
Must be in the hundreds.
Okay. And you'd agree that based on your training and experience, you have a technique.
The only technique that I've been taught, sir, is build rapport with the individual I'm talking to.
Well, when you go,
Don't give out all
how
your
many classes
secrets.
have you gone to regarding interrogations in your career?
Several.
Okay. But I imagine, and is it a 1 hour class? Is it a 1 week class at a time? What is it?
It depends.
Okay. So I'm sure they don't tell you the only technique to utilize is to build rapport. They don't teach you that.
That's the only technique I've been taught.
I'm sorry.
That's the only technique I've been taught.
Oh, bull crap. You've been taught more
I'm so
techniques than
sorry.
just
I was
build
kind of speaking
rapport.
myself. I didn't hear you.
That's the only technique I've been taught, to build
Liar.
rapport.
Okay. And so you and Captain Calderon decided to try and figure out a rapport that you had with this Mr. Ortiz, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now,
So what he's saying is that the Texas
when he was in
interrogation
the,
classes
in
is
the
simply
room,
saying build rapport, the
waiting
end.
for you all to go in, that was by design?
No.
Okay. And, time is passing, and the prosecutor brought up several things, which is that it was Mr. Ortiz that brought up the picture. Do you recall that?
Yes.
There was Mr. Ortiz that brought up, don't break down the door, don't ransack his kids' rooms and all that. Remember?
Yes.
Okay. Now, regardless of the fact that he's the one that brought it up, you don't have to say, yeah, we'll do that for you. That's by design. You could have said, no, we're not going to get you a picture. No, we're going to do whatever we have to get into that house. You could have done that too, right?
We could have, but we didn't.
But you didn't. And it's by design because, as you know, by reading this, by listening to the tapes, it's part of a quid pro quo. Isn't that
Quid
true?
pro quo, Clarice.
No, sir.
Quid
Okay.
pro quo.
So you're trying to say, we're doing this for you, but you're not doing this for us. You recall on different occasions, you say things along those lines. You were Calderon?
Vaguely, yes, sir.
Okay. And so we say, hey, we've done this for you, we've done that for you, but you're not cooperating basically, and you recall that doing that, right?
Yes.
Okay. And that involved several things. Number one, a lot of time has passed, because what time was Mr. Ortiz placed into the interrogation room?
I would have to look back in my notes.
If I told you around 2:30, a little bit later than that, would that be accurate?
Yes.
More or less, yes, sir.
Okay. And then you all walked in at 3:21. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so then it's until roughly 10:55, almost 11 o'clock in the morning, when you all have been outside, and they've taken, I think, at this moment is when they've taken, I think it's clothing and the like, and then you all will walk back in. And I'm just trying to refresh your memory of where I'm at in the questioning, in the interview. By this time, all those things have come up, the picture, and the not breaking the rooms and stuff like that. You agree with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, at some point, we know that the elected district attorney of Webb County is at the substation prior to 10:55 on September the 15th of 2018, right? And by that, I mean Mr. Isidro Alaniz. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what did you discuss with Mr. Alaniz at the time prior to entering the interrogation room at 10:55?
I don't remember talking to him at all.
Okay. So was he just strolling by and you happened to see him and then you went to Mr. Ortiz and say, hey, the DA is here?
I knew he was there. I don't know if I saw him or Captain Calderon informed me that he was there.
And was he there for another case or for this case?
He was there for this case.
Okay. And it's your testimony to this jury that the elected district attorney of Webb County is at a substation. You and Captain Calderon are the lead investigators. He is there for this case. You two are there for this case. And you're telling this jury that you just happened to not talk about the case. Is that what you're telling these 12 people?
No, I said that I saw him earlier.
Okay. And what did you discuss with him earlier?
No, I just saw him there.
Okay.
Come on.
And so that's why I'm asking you. That morning, on September the 15th of 2018, when the elected district attorney of Webb County, Mr. Isidro Alaniz, is there, and he's there for that case, you mentioned that, you and Captain Calderon are there for this case, and you're telling me that the elected DA and the two lead investigators just never happened to talk about the case. They just strolled by each other. Is that what you're telling these 12 people?
Yes, sir. I just saw him there.
Okay. But regardless, you took that opportunity then to go in there, and after maybe 7 hours or more, that's when you walked in there and you tell, do you have the transcript up there with you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I'm
Close.
on
We're
page
close to
13
Mexico.
of disc,
Very close.
disc 6. Am I right? Yeah.
Eva Torres, the defense lawyer has an upper lip built for a cookie duster. He had a mustache at the beginning of the trial. You can see how it's not tan if you look closely. It's like paler here. He shaved his stash off like after day 3, or I think day 4. Like either Thursday or Friday,
Okay,
he shaved
I'm sorry,
his stash.
I'm on disc 6, page 13, line 17. Are you there?
13, 17, yes, sir.
Yeah, and that's where you say, look,
Yeah, just you.
look, partner, everything so far that you've talked about and everything that you've asked, we've accommodated you. And you're talking again about the quid pro quo. You are trying to give him things, the picture, whatever the case might be. Okay, now, half the district attorney's office here, he's right here. The DA himself, okay? Answer, okay, sir. And then your question, and now is the time. If you want us to put in a good word in for you, you need to, do you see where you say that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and now this is you talking, not Calderon, right?
Yes, sir.
And so you agree with me that if it's a conditional word,
No, sir. I wanted him to tell us the truth.
in exchange for something, I agree with you, in exchange for something, right?
No, sir.
For a good word to the elected district attorney of Webb County, the man that would control Ortiz's fate. Do you understand that?
No, sir.
Okay,
We always
but-
confer with the district attorney's office, and they often ask us if they're being truthful with what they're saying.
Well, I mean, you said you didn't talk to Mr. Alaniz, right?
No, I said we confer on a regular basis. I didn't say that I talked to him on this case.
Okay, but you see that I'm asking about the effect and overcoming an individual's free will. When you
Solid.
say we want to put in a good word with the DA, if, and the if is you cooperate. You understand that?
If it's truthful, yes.
Okay. Now,
That's
you go
good,
on
too.
further and you say again, and again, you're not talking about truthful, you're talking about cooperation. Now I'm moving to page 14 to line 5. Are you there?
Yes,
You
sir.
see that? And you say this is Captain Calderon. You could be. We've cooperated with you. We've talked to your wife like you've asked us to. So again, you are implying to him that you've given him things, and you're asking for things in return. Cooperation. You see that?
The only thing we were asking, sir, is for him to be truthful.
I'm just saying if you saw that, because it doesn't say, are you being truthful?
No, I saw what.
Objection, Your Honor. He's being argumentative.
I'm asking him questions, Your Honor, this cross-examination.
Please, last question.
But you see where you didn't say anything about be truthful in there. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I'm sorry, not you. It was Calderon. Calderon is saying, we're giving you things, give us cooperation back. Do you see that or you don't?
I don't see that, sir.
Okay.
I don't see that.
Well, I just asked you if you saw that or not.
Yes, sir, I saw that.
Okay.
Give us
Now,
some cooperation back. Ooh, they're pushing him to say that he promised him something.
If
Hey,
you go to
tell us
line
something, we'll do something
17
for you. We'll put
of
in a
that
good
same
word with the
page, and this is
prosecutor.
Captain Calderon. A question by Calderon, and she wanted answers, and we told her that she could hear from you later. We asked her to go back to San Antonio, and she went back to San Antonio. You're asking us for a picture of your family, and we can get your picture of your family. We'll work on that. So again, you haven't done that. You're telling him we can do that, but it's if he cooperates. You see that the effect it's having on another individual when you're doing that.
Sir, I see it as building a rapport with the individual.
Okay.
Rapport, coercion,
well,
rapport,
on the other hand, you
coercion.
could have told
Let's
him, we're
not
not gonna
fight
talk
about
to your
who
wife.
coerced who.
Nothing stopped you from doing that, right?
Nothing stops us from
Okay.
doing that.
So nothing in this interrogation room from the both of you, Calderon and yourself, Ranger Salinas, is by accident. It's by design. You agree with me on that. It's good law enforcement tactics, right?
Mhm.
No, sir, I call it building a rapport.
Okay. Do you see on line 24, again, Calderon, same page 14, and it's going to move on to page 15, but
They wanted to show he was
question.
coerced
We
or he
asked
was
for permission
promised.
to do it. He's talking about
Promised
the
something
picture.
for his confession.
We can work on getting you the picture, and normally they don't allow stuff in the jail, but I can work on trying to get permission for that dude. You see again where
Mhm.
there's a quid, there's a promise, but the implication is the quid pro quo to get something back. You see what I'm saying? Or you don't see that?
Again, sir, that's building rapport with the
Okay.
individual.
Okay.
You're building rapport by promising something in
And
exchange
then
for
on
his
line 8,
confession.
this is you speaking, Ranger Salinas, on page 15. And you didn't want us to break down your door, and we're not going to break down your door. We're not going to ransack your house. Everything is in the future. You things that you're going to promise him to do if he cooperates, because right now he doesn't have the picture, right?
I don't recall what time he was given the picture.
Well, I mean, we know right now it's 10:56 in the morning, right?
Correct.
Okay. You haven't searched his house.
No.
So technically, in his mind, you could still go break down the door and ransack his kids' rooms. You see that?
Objection, Your Honor. That calls for speculation. He doesn't know what the defendant was thinking.
Sustain.
Mhm.
But the point is, this event hasn't happened. You're still telling him you can do things for him in the future. You see that?
Sir, I see it as building rapport, building trust with the individual,
Okay. By promising him things,
building trust,
building trust, by promising him things,
building a
right?
rapport, sir.
I understand that. I understand building rapport. But do you see that you're telling him you're going to do things for him? Do you agree with that?
Objection, Your Honor. That's been asked and answered.
It's examination. I'm going down the line, Your Honor.
Well, they had to after Captain COVID was coughing all over them the
I
other
didn't hear
day.
you, Your Honor.
Oh, no, that last
Okay.
question, you have asked it a few times already.
You see, that's a continuum. You continue to promise things. You see that?
All I see, sir, is trying to continue building rapport with the individual.
Okay. Now, if you go down to line 14 on page 15, and again, I'll wait till you get there. Page 15, line 14. You see where it starts, help yourself?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now it's Calderon speaking. Help yourself, help us. And with what happened, and we'll get you that picture.
Ooh, it's a
Now,
promise.
you see there that is a quid pro quo. Give us something and we'll give you something. You see that, right?
Again, sir, I still think it's building rapport.
Look,
It's building
you can answer that, you
rapport
can
by
keep on
making
just saying that.
promises.
My question is to you. This is simple English.
Objection, Your Honor, he's being argumentative.
Well, Your Honor, I deserve an
No,
answer.
no sidebar, just ask the question. The simple English is sidebar.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see there, in a simple English, where you all are promising to do something if he does something? Do you see that or you don't?
I can't see how he would.
That's mischaracterization of what he's been.
No, it's
discussing.
not. That's exactly what he was saying.
Well,
If you do this, I will get you the picture.
I
It's a
can't
promise
say
for
how
a
he would
promise.
interpret that.
Okay. Now,
Dude,
if you go down to page 16, line 23. That's where Ortiz brings up the part about his wife keeping the retirement money, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then if we go to page 17, and I'm going to see who's speaking here. I think it's still Captain Calderon. Captain Calderon seizes on that, and he says on line 4 of page 17, you know what? I don't know, but I can find out. You know that. That's stuff that we can work on. Again, something in the future, right? That's what I was trying to get out earlier. If she needs help after this, you see how Calderon is again promising to do something for him in exchange for cooperation.
Again, sir, I still think this is building
If you don't
rapport
see it,
with
you
the
don't
guy.
see it. You can say, no, I don't see that.
I don't see it.
Okay.
all right. You
Now,
sound like an idiot too, cop, by the way. Sorry.
Now, if we go to line 9, again, it's Calderon, and there's a way that you could help us cooperate. You see that, like, that's a direct request to cooperate, and then you'll help his wife.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that Calderon is saying that, Ranger Salinas?
Objection, Your Honor, that's a cop-out question. I'm not sure what it is that he's asking.
Do you see where Captain Calderon is telling him
He's
he'll do
trying to
something
show
for
that
him
the
if he cooperates?
that he was
Here it's
coerced.
literal.
He was promised something
you
in
see that,
exchange for a
Ranger Salinas?
confession. He didn't
I
really
see you
do it,
mentioned
but
the word
because
cooperate.
they would be nice to his wife and they would give him a picture in jail that he would confess to murdering 4 people. They're just trying to show that they coerced him, they pressured him
And
into
again,
this,
just
they
to
offered
make the
him
point,
something if he confessed to it. It's a weak argument, but it's the best they've got. This is exactly what I'd be doing. You got
and
to
it goes
attack the
on and
police
on. I mean,
any way you can.
we already spoke to Captain Calderon, but do you see that you talk about the retirement, you talk about the picture, you talk about the ransacking the house, and everything is if you cooperate, it's conditional. You see that?
I still see it as building rapport with the individual.
Okay. And in different places, you say, help us out, cooperate, right?
Correct.
Okay, they got pictures of the victims
Now-
on their shirts. I take it. I don't like that. I don't think that should be allowed to have pictures of the victims on the T-shirts. I know they're family and whatnot, but I don't think that's cool. Let the jury see the pictures of them there.
If we go back now to earlier in the day, you received a call from Trooper Hernandez about Erica Peña, correct?
Correct.
And then you and Captain Calderon at some point are at the substation with Ms. Peña, and that's when the bolo goes out based on the things that she mentioned to you for the white Dodge and for Mr. Ortiz. Is that accurate?
The bolo went out after we confirmed the residence.
Okay. And then at about 1:30, I think, maybe 1:15, you get the call from either, I think Bradshaw, Trooper Bradshaw, that they've located the truck at the stripes there at Jefferson and San Bernardo. Is that
I didn't
correct?
say it'd work or even that it was
Okay.
good. I said that's
And
all
then
they got.
You arrive, according to your report,
Dark soulless.
approximately 1:30 in the morning. You recall that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, according to your report, and if you need to refresh your memory, I'll show you the report. At approximately 1:34 a.m., 4 minutes later, you say, I utilized a Sine Nikon D7100 digital camera to obtain several photographs. Do you recall that?
Yes.
So when you arrived, the truck, we're talking about the white Dodge, this truck.
What?
That vehicle was already seized by law enforcement.
No, sir.
It wasn't seized.
No, sir.
Okay. So could I have gotten you, anybody driven away with it, or it was seized?
No, sir. There was a trooper standing guard in it, with it, or near it.
Okay. So, I mean, nobody could have just driven away with it. That's what I'm telling you.
No.
No. Okay. So and you're a law enforcement officer, for Fourth Amendment purposes, that vehicle was seized. There was a seizure made.
He's asking for a legal conclusion.
So he knows about the Fourth
This
Amendment.
prosecutor's a dick. Can you hear him whispering, telling the other prosecutor what to say?
For
She
your
knows what
purposes,
to
you know
say.
what a seizure is, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That Dodge was seized. You had a trooper there. It was seized.
Your Honor, again, that's a legal conclusion.
Okay. Now, well, at 1:34, you felt comfortable enough to go and open the doors and start taking pictures, right?
Correct. After I had shined the light inside.
Okay. And just to make sure, when you say you shine the light inside, you use your flashlight to look inside, and there's something called plain view, right? You're familiar with plain view.
Yes, sir.
And plain view basically is that anything that you or anyone could see from any vantage point is proper, right? It's in plain view. If you look into my car and you see a coffee cup and my sunglasses, well, it's in plain view. You could look at it as a law enforcement officer or any citizen to come by my window and look at it. It's in plain view, and that's proper, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, you went further, and then you manipulated the truck by opening the doors and conducting a search.
Objection, Your Honor. It's a compound question, and he's injecting facts that are not in evidence.
Injecting stuff.
Did you open the door to the truck?
He's injecting
I
stuff.
did, but I had probable cause.
Okay. At 1:34, now you're saying you had probable cause. The moment you were opening the door, was that truck seized by law enforcement?
Yes.
Okay. So the minute you're gonna, before, that 1 second before you open that door, that truck was seized by law enforcement. Yes.
Correct.
Okay. Now, you're gonna manipulate, you're gonna move stuff.
Objection, Your Honor.
Let's make your objection. Okay. You manipulated the truck to be able to see things that were not in plain view. Is that correct, sir?
Objection, Your Honor. Those are facts that are not in evidence. You need to ask him if he manipulated your thing.
I just asked him if he opened the door. He said yes, Your Honor.
It's a different question.
I'll allow the question.
Okay.
Wow,
At some
I agreed
point,
with the prosecutor.
After you seized the truck, did you open the door to the truck?
Yes, sir.
And we have the photos where you open the driver's side door. Yes?
Yes.
And now is where the gun is in the door well, if you will, of that white Dodge Ram on the driver's side. And we have the photo.
I didn't see the gun at that time.
Okay. Now, you testified earlier that when you saw the holster, which we know is between the driver's side seat and the center console, you testified, you immediately notified the SWAT team, right?
Correct. The people that were about to search.
And because you were concerned about officer safety.
Correct.
Okay. Now, there's nothing inherently illegal about someone having a holster for a firearm in a vehicle.
Not in
Not in
Texas.
in normal circumstances, no.
In Texas, you're
No,
required
it's
to
in
have
the
a
plain
holster,
view.
I think.
You look at any person's vehicle in plain view, and you look inside, and someone has a holster for a gun. There's nothing illegal about that,
Nothing.
right?
There's nothing illegal, but not at those circumstances that I was looking at and the circumstances surrounding the event.
Now, you're so concerned about that holster that you immediately notify the SWAT team, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, you are opening the doors for this truck.
Literally.
And, okay, you have been an officer, you said, 29 years. Is that accurate?
Correct.
You are not only a DPS trooper, you are within the DPS, the elite of the elite, the best of the best, a Texas Ranger, are you not?
That's an opinionated question, sir.
Okay. Now, officer safety is paramount to you, is it not?
Yes, sir.
And so you open that door because you want to know if the gun for that holster was in that truck. Isn't that true?
No, sir.
All your experience that you have, officer safety is paramount. And you're telling these 12 people that the reason that you opened that door is not because you wanted to know if the gun was in the truck.
No, I saw the holster and I radioed in to the guys that the guy might be armed.
Okay. And that gun is plain as day once you open that door. Do you know that?
I didn't see it that night, sir.
Okay. And you're saying you didn't see it because we know that DPS Trooper Santuro turned in that inventory form and he said no inventory was conducted. You're aware of that now, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so if a Santuro said back then at 2:17 in the morning on September the 15th of 2018, that's when he signed that form or documented it. And he says no inventory conducted. You're aware of that form?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now you're stuck because once it says no inventory was conducted, the only remaining thing is a search was conducted. Isn't that true?
The search was conducted.
Is it true or not true?
The search was conducted.
Objection, Your Honor, that calls for a legal conclusion.
What?
Jesus, Judge, what
Ooh, don't allow
the
that.
conclusion?
There was the question about whether there was a search.
It's a
What is the
fact
objection?
The objection is that he did not know what Santuro had that night. He's asking if he knows now.
Was it a search? That's the last question that
That was
was
the
asked.
question, Your Honor.
And it's a compound question.
Did you hear my question?
I heard you say
Yes, sir.
Jesus, Judge. That's
Okay.
what I heard.
If it wasn't an inventory search,
Dang.
I mean, an inventory, then it's a search.
The vehicle
Is
wasn't
that true?
searched. The vehicle wasn't searched at the stripes.
You understand that once you start moving stuff, that's a search.
Objection, Your Honor. He's mischaracterizing the evidence. He has not said that he moved anything inside the vehicle.
Your Honor, the officer can say no. He can either say yes or no. This is cross-examination. on a
Another
capital
question.
murder.
Ask the question.
Okay. If it's not an inventory, and we've already talked to these 12 people and all of us, an inventory is to document things that are in the truck, right?
Correct.
If you wanted to do that. But then we know now that no inventory was conducted, right?
No inventory was conducted at that time.
Okay. But yet you manipulated that vehicle in order to look into it.
Objection, Your Honor. Again, he has not asked him if he's manipulated anything in that vehicle. And his answer was no. He asked, did you move anything?
Just rephrase the question, sir.
Did you open the door of the truck to look into areas that were not in plain view?
The areas I was looking at were in plain view.
Not where the gun is,
Objection, Your Honor. He's arguing with the witness.
not where the gun is,
I didn't see the gun.
but you opened the door and now things that were not in plain view are viewable by law enforcement.
I didn't see the gun, sir.
Are-
Hmm.
Where are the pictures? Where would the picture of the truck be from your phone? Because you're
Wow.
putting everything in envelopes, I'm trying to figure out the photos of
All
the
right.
truck that-
Well, they're arguing that. Flux says the C is always right, just like women. Ha ha ha. I know we already read that, so ha ha ha. You get it again. This hearing is one big lull. Well, they've actually they haven't been very lully, so that's good. Isaac Bruce Wholesome Gabagool Art says loud cough in Jeff's ear. Yeah, let's not do that anymore. Ugh, that was terrible yesterday. Shading of the Heart. First super chat. Thank you so much for me being your very first super chat. Thanks for streaming. Well, thank you for listening, and thank you for the super chat. I keep you on in the background while I work on custom tumblers. I'm on Etsy, folks. Same name.
Into evidence so you can testify.
Everybody go to Etsy, Shading of the Heart, and see what she's got to offer.
September the 15th of 2018 at the Stripes in Laredo at Jefferson and San Bernardo has the door open to it.
Yes, sir.
You opened the door.
Yes.
You took a photograph of that gun.
I didn't see that gun at the time.
Do you see it now?
I can see it now when you're pointing at it, but I didn't see it at the time.
Okay. And you knew there was a holster. By the time you opened this door, you
He's
knew there was a
trying.
holster in the
He's
truck.
hoping.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you're testifying to this jury that you weren't opening the doors because, in fact, you were looking for a gun.
No, sir.
And you've been a cop 29 years.
Yes, sir.
And we know that Trooper Santuro said there was no inventory done
Correct.
out at the Stripes.
No inventory.
And we also know that there wasn't any need to be concerned about the truck because you instructed Santuro, number one, to secure the truck at 1:15 a.m. You instructed him to secure the truck.
Correct.
Okay. So we know it's secure. We know it's seized. And we also know that once it was going to be towed, according to your reports, you instructed Santuro to follow the wrecker all the way to the substation, right?
You suck at your 29-year-old
Okay.
job, bro.
So we know that nothing was going to happen to that truck. No one was going to get into it and search it or take stuff out because it was being followed by law enforcement all the way to its destination,
Correct.
right? Okay. So any items that were in there were secured to begin with. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Now, once it gets to the substation, we know that Ortiz was arrested around 2:30 a.m. We've established that. Now, around 3:54,
Evidence.
In the
Tire
morning.
is evidence.
you instruct Ugarte Nenke to go ahead and start searching the truck. You recall that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now out at the scene at the Stripes, because the truck was already seized, other than inconvenience and the like, nothing would prevent you from getting a search warrant for it, right?
I didn't need a search warrant.
Okay. But if you had wanted to, nothing would have prevented you from doing it.
Probably the time at night.
Okay. So time, but I mean, legally is what I'm asking you. Legally, you could have gone, done an affidavit and gotten a search warrant and searched it out there at the Stripes, right?
Not at the Stripes.
Okay. Let's go back now to the substation at 7209 Saunders, then in Laredo, at 3:54 a.m. We know the truck got seized and transported It'd have to be after 134 because it says, I instructed Sergeant Santuro to escort the wrecker and the Dodge to WCSO Webb County Sheriff's Office substation located at 7209 East Saunders. So we know that it eventually got to the substation, right?
Correct.
Now, once it's at the substation, you'd agree with me that that's a secure area.
You could say that.
Well, it's not a bank vault, but it's
Cruel and unusual
enclosed
punishment.
area where law enforcement personnel are allowed to go in only. Would you
Correct.
agree with that? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So we know the truck's not going anywhere, correct?
Correct.
And at that moment in time, nothing prevented you from going to go get a search warrant for that truck legally.
Legally, but I still had probable cause, and I had abandonment of a vehicle.
That's not what I'm asking you. My question is, legally, could you have gone to a magistrate, presented your affidavit, gotten a warrant, and then come and search the truck?
I could have.
Okay. But you didn't.
No, sir.
Now,
Because that takes a
At
long
three-
time.
at 354,
Duh.
you instruct Ugarte to start searching the truck.
I don't remember what time I told him.
Okay, let me see. I think. I'm going to show you what's been marked as defendant's exhibit number 8, and this has been admitted into evidence. And this is, can you tell me what that is?
This is the general evidence log, collection log.
Okay, can you look at number 1? You can read it. You want to put on your glasses?
Yes, it's 3:54 a.m.
Okay, and what is the item that is logged in?
1 HK 40 caliber handgun with 1 magazine, 9 live rounds.
And can you read out what item number 2 is and the time? With the numeral 2. Yeah, that one.
4 a.m. cash bag with makeup and syringe.
Okay.
Makeup and syringe. It's a perfect purse for a woman. Makeup and a syringe.
So now,
Of course they'll continue to kill.
354, you instruct Ugarte, Deputy Ugarte, to begin searching the truck, the white Dodge, right?
Correct.
And at some point,
Ooh, zoom game.
well, we know before 10:55 in the morning. At some point, as Ugarte is searching the vehicle and gathering items, you are either looking at them or gaining possession of some of the things, right?
I never gained possession of any of the items that was collected.
Okay, do you recall Calderon taking possession of some of the items?
Yes.
Okay, and the items he got were the bag with the syringes and the like, right?
Correct.
And at some point, you all also looked, I guess, by ejecting the magazine of the HK to see how many rounds were in it, right?
I don't recall that.
Okay. Do you remember going in and at some point talking to Mr. Ortiz and asking him, why are there rounds missing from your magazine?
I don't recall that either.
Now, with regards to the bag, because you remember that,
Yes, sir.
right? Now,
Hey,
you need the
don't bring my
items
wife into this.
in the truck to be able to confront Mr. Ortiz with, let's say, incriminating evidence. Is that accurate?
That's very accurate.
He's just got this
And for
resting.
example,
I don't give a fuck
when you told
face.
him, we know this bag is not your wife's because it has syringes in it. Remember?
Yes, sir.
So you're utilizing the items from the truck because they're necessary to assist you in the interrogation. You agree with that?
I wanted him to have as much information as possible to make his own conclusion.
Sure. And I'm just gonna tell him, if I were to just tell you just generally, because it's in the transcript somewhere and we've all looked at the video, that at some point, either you or Calderon, I know you don't remember right now, but if I were to tell you that they say, hey, why are you missing rounds from your magazine? And he even replies, because I shoot up in the air sometimes. Does that refresh your memory?
Yes.
Okay. So we know that did happen.
Whoa.
You all, based on the search of the truck, beginning at 3:54 a.m., were utilizing the items obtained from the truck to assist you in the interrogation of Mr. Ortiz.
So?
Correct?
Again, we were providing as much information to him so he can make a good judgment as far as what he was going to tell us.
Okay. And the truth of the matter is, you didn't obtain a search warrant for that truck that day at that time because it was more important to you to use those items to incriminate Mr. Ortiz. Isn't that true?
That's not true.
Probably is. It probably is. Well, this is relevant. Steph Latin asked a while ago, why doesn't search incident to apprehension apply to the truck? What they're saying is when he was standing by his truck when they first approached him, and then he ran off. They're saying by running away, he abandoned his truck, and the police treated it as an abandoned vehicle, essentially, so they could go into it and search through it. That's the argument that the prosecution is going with.
With regards to the entire events that night regarding the search of the white Dodge on September the 15th of 2018, isn't it true that the reality is that you searched it out at the Stripes and then you searched it over here at the substation without a warrant because you needed that information to incriminate Mr. Ortiz?
That's not true, sir.
All right. Back to
Thank you,
the
Salinas. I'm going to
back to the prosecution to
direct your
rehabilitate him.
attention to State's Exhibit 116.
All right, well, they're figuring this out here. Flux says, yay. That means you can super chat. And Flux says, is he going to walk because the jury thinks this DA is corrupt as shit and they just want to close a case? I doubt he's going to walk. I thought there was a very good chance at the end of last week, but the prosecution's kind of bringing it back. It would be much easier to just come back and go, yeah, we know he's guilty, than it would be to deliberate a not guilty verdict.
Who brought up the district attorney first? Was it you who brought up Mr. Alanis being at the station? Or was the first time Mr. Alanis' name was brought up, was it by Ortiz? Mr. Ortiz?
I think it was Mr. Ortiz.
I'm going to direct your attention to CD3, page 50.
Oh, come on. Not the paper again. Have none of you learned how to turn paper away from the microphone? Jeez.
925.
Yes. Is there a question in there, Miss Prosecutor?
The very bottom. And this is Mr. Ortiz speaking. on page 50. And he says, did you guys already wake up the Chilo? And it continues on page 51. District attorney already, and tell him that you had one of the 2 stranglings. And you answered, this is Agent Salinas, well, nobody told you it was this way. And look how I am. This is him answering. I mean, you answer, well, you know that you're there for a reason. And his answer is, so you guys haven't even told the media, guys? I don't know. I don't believe that. And your answer is, we haven't, but someone else did. You know how BP works. What happens the first time that you get a load or something happens, everybody is there taking pictures, sending emails. We just have something like that. I'll be the first one that the gossip, but that's not us. And he says, and it keeps going, and he's discussing how BP knew, and he's actually goes into discussing text messages or the media messages that were being sent back and forth while he was in the back of the truck when he got apprehended. Do you recall that?
Yes.
So who is the person who first brought up Mr. Alanis?
Mr. Ortiz.
Whoa, the dude's moving. He's just emotion, smiling. The fuck? He's alive.
Defense counsel said that you were not seeking, that you never said that you were seeking the truth. Do you recall that he just asked you that?
Yes.
I'm going to refer you to, it's on disc 3, page 19.
No, 19. Baloney Bong says something very interesting. Never can tell what will sway a jury. That's the thing. They don't have to convince all of the jurors that
And this is
the police didn't do their job. They just have to convince one juror. One juror is all it takes for a not guilty verdict. Or a hung jury, anyway, I guess. I should say it only takes one juror to avoid a guilty verdict.
Kids. She had an alternative a way to support them, but it was still a way to support them. She was supporting a family. Is referring to Melissa. Is that okay? The answer, no. Look at Melissa. He's reviewing a photograph. Look at Erica. Reviewing a photograph. Shit, I don't know. I don't know what you guys want me to tell you. The answer is, I want you to tell us the truth. And he says, I'm telling the truth. Question, I'm asking you for the truth. And his answer is, I'm telling you the truth. So you did tell him that you wanted the truth.
Yes.
Did you not?
Mm-hmm.
Now, on disc 6.
You can't handle the truth. Nice one.
Later on in the interview, page 18.
I love Bill Burr's jokes about reading court transcripts. No, stop. Oh, you're bad. Stop. No, don't do that. No, stop. You're bad. Don't do that. No, stop. Say it in that voice.
And this is by you, Agent Salinas. And you say, okay, the question was, okay, if you help out, Ortiz, and this is you speaking, if you don't want to waste money on legal fees, because he was discussing that, why are we going through all of this? Just tell us the truth. You know, you already know the truth was the answer by Mr. Ortiz. And then Captain Calderon says, well, you know that, JD. And the answer was, you already know that either it's on me and you've got blood on my boots. And the question, JD, look at me, please. Did you also discuss the word truth?
Yes.
At any time in that interview, did you use the word promise?
No,
Words like, we will accommodate you were used?
no,
Would you, do you recall Captain Calderon saying, I'll ask permission to see if we can take that picture?
yes,
Is that different from, I'll give you a promise?
yes,
Is that a guarantee?
We're gonna object to leading questions, Your Honor.
No,
Rephrase.
shut up, prosecutor
Was
guy. I hate when he
Was
tells him what
there,
to say.
As he put it, a quid pro quo?
no,
Was there anything guaranteed?
no,
Again, we're gonna object to leading questions.
Overruled on the last question.
Now, during your interview, and we discussed this when we had you on direct yesterday, you said you already knew he was a law enforcement officer.
once he was at the substation, yes,
Yes. And do you recall him discussing times that he had his own investigations and that he would conduct interrogations and searches
yes,
Mm-hmm.
and arrests?
yes,
So you knew he was familiar. Did you know if he was familiar with these concepts and the practices of arrest, search, and seizure
yes,
and interrogations?
yes,
Prosecutor's whispering things to her again.
Did he ever ask for an attorney?
no,
Did he ever stop talking?
no,
COVID.
Did he authorize consent to go into his home?
yes,
Did he authorize and give you consent for DNA?
Your Honor, just leading questions, Judge. It's direct, opening the questions.
I'll another question.
yes,
Did he provide his PIN number or password for his phone?
yes,
And what was that for?
to get his picture.
Shut up, prosecutor.
Did you take a GSR on him?
I did.
Hmm. Hmm.
Now, I'm going to
Pass.
refer your attention to the stripes that you were questioned on whether it was a search or not. At this point, hold on just a moment.
Oh, somebody just opened the zipper. Ooh. I've got your gavel right here, Judge.
At this
Zip.
point, what did you know after you had spoken to Erica? What was the complaint that she had made? What criminal offense had she committed?
Object to compound question.
Rephrase.
What criminal?
Like the head nod. Yeah, yeah, right there. Bitch, she called said I was doing compound questions. Bitch, she's got some compound
And
questions.
what information did you gain from her that you already knew would be connected
I like
to
this defense lawyer a
her
lot.
statement?
The white Dodge truck, Mr. Ortiz, the tallies, and the pink small little flowered purse.
And what did she complain he assaulted her with?
A handgun.
So those are the things that you
handgun.
knew
Okay.
would be
What?
connected to the aggravated assault
Monty
that
Dearest?
Erica Peña was complaining about. Is that correct?
Correct.
Your Honor, at this time, we'd like to publish State's Exhibit 23. It's already in there.
You may.
All right. There's his truck. Christ! Fuck! figure it out, people. Jesus.
Will you explain what's going on?
My
in here?
ears
Who
are
is that?
bleeding. That's what's going
That's
on,
me
you
and
stupid
Sergeant
cow.
Santoro.
Have you opened the doors of this vehicle yet?
No,
Okay.
You cow bag, as Steph would say.
What is it you're doing right now?
I think I'm on the phone.
And who's that other individual?
That's Sergeant Santoro.
Optimus Prime, is that you?
And what are you doing now?
I don't know why that's
Going
funny.
to the driver's side door.
With what in your hand?
A flashlight.
And what are you looking for?
I'm looking what's inside.
Okay.
I don't know
And
why
what do
that
you see?
Optimus Prime thing was
The
funny, but
holster.
it was. That was a good.
Okay. What else do you see?
It didn't come out, but I go on the driver's side or the passenger side, and I see the tall boys and the pink purse and another brown purse in the front floorboard.
Did you get on the phone when you saw the holster?
Yes,
And what did you advise?
that I had an empty holster, that the subject might be armed.
Have you opened the doors here yet?
No,
Now, at this time, you saw, what were the items that you saw in plain view?
a brown purse in the front, a pink purse in the back with some tall beer can tall boys, and the empty holster in the driver's side.
Did that match what Erica Pena had complained about?
Yes,
And when you testified during direct before, did you move any items in this vehicle?
I just want to know
No.
where they found this really
Did you
thin
remove any
officer.
items in this vehicle?
no,
Did you manipulate anything?
no.
Did you
Wow.
believe that you could search the vehicle at this time?
Objection, Your Honor.
He looks really thin from a
Speculation,
distance.
opinion, and as they objected, it's a legal conclusion, Your Honor.
Rephrase.
Where would you,
I want to know what's in
So,
the bag the cow has.
what would be the
Apparently,
ideal
makeup
location
and
to
needles.
conduct a search?
At a more secure place.
Now, when you were prompted, or what prompted you to take photos of the vehicle?
Donut allergy.
Just so I can document the contents in the pristine manner that they were.
And when you took the pictures, you did not, you can go ahead, John.
Senior clean.
And when you took these pictures, again, it was just what you could see in plain view?
Correct.
But do you recall looking at your pictures and yesterday, and it was a picture that you had taken, and in fact, on the door, the gun was there.
Correct.
So even though the camera picked it up, your eyes did not pick up that camera.
Correct.
That gun.
Correct.
It's like ghosts.
So what
can't
was
see
the
them with your
purpose of
eyes, but the
taking these
camera picks
photos
them
at
up.
this time?
Just to preserve the way the contents were in the vehicle.
So there were preservation photos.
Correct.
The ghost gun of Texas. I was walking the streets of Laredo.
When you
Streets of Laredo.
attempted to open the door, was it locked or was it unlocked?
It was unlocked.
Did you know who the owner was of this vehicle?
Yes.
And was he present?
No.
He ran
And
away.
Did you know from the investigation what had happened when the troopers confronted him at the stripes?
Your Honor, I'm gonna object to hearsay, and I'm also gonna object to leading.
Overruled.
Yes,
What was that?
that he had fled.
Well, while the prosecution unfucks themselves, we'll say the Apostle Steve says, I love Bill Burr's comedy. And a lot of you have asked, why they're trying to make the cop look bad for simply building relationships. Again, they're just trying to say that he's making promises.
After
He's
Ortiz
doing
was
things to
apprehended,
elicit a confession that aren't
at the
the
parking
truth.
garage at the AVA. Do you know if they found a gun on him?
No, they didn't find a gun on him.
Okay. And so did that prompt you to do anything? Inform the investigators to do anything, or the troopers?
Yes,
What did you do?
I told them if somebody can go down to the stripes and check the bathrooms or inside the store or around the area.
Again, because you did not see the gun in the vehicle.
Correct.
There was a dumpster by that truck. Did you have them look at the dumpster?
Yes.
Was the dumpster on fire like this
I
trial?
have no further questions, Ron.
Test witness?
Yes, Your Honor. Well, at this time, you didn't know how many guns were involved, did you?
Correct.
And the DA just asked you yesterday when you saw the photo, did you see the gun? Did you hear her ask you that?
Yes.
And so, am I hearing right that yesterday's the first time you see that photo and you see that gun there?
No, it was when I was reviewing the videos getting ready for trial.
Okay. But she said yesterday.
I saw it yesterday again.
So you're testifying to these 12 people.
Objection, Honor. I was referring to yesterday's testimony.
Okay. Well, go ahead and ask your question.
Well, when did you see, she referred to a photo or a video. That's the first time you see the gun in the well of the door?
Yes.
And you're the lead investigator.
I'm the lead investigator for DPS, and Captain Calderon is the lead for the Wood County Sheriff's Office.
And you've been an officer for 29 years.
That's correct.
And your testimony to this jury is 4 years approximately after this incident. This is the first time that you see that gun in that door well.
That's correct, sir.
That's a stupid answer.
Are you going to stick to that?
Yes, sir.
That's a stupid answer.
Earlier, she asked you, you can manipulate the truck. Did you hear that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What does manipulate mean to you?
To move
Good
around.
question.
Move anything, right? Right?
Yes, sir.
Did you move the door when you opened it?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So
You
you manipulated the
manipulated
truck.
the
Gotcha.
truck.
He's innocent.
Yes.
I opened the door.
Okay. And you took a photo of the contents of the door well.
Correct.
And with all due respect, I know you wear glasses, but how far were you from that gun? Now that you know there was a gun there, what, 2 feet?
More or less.
Okay.
He's 2 feet from the gun and he doesn't see it in the doorway, even when he's taking a picture of it. And he's been a detective for 29 years. Congratulations. He just fucked himself. He just sounds like an idiot.
She
now.
asked you, and you took pictures only of things that were in plain view. Do you remember that? And you said yes.
Yes, sir.
The
That's
smart
not
answer
true.
would be to say I saw the gun on the day that I took the damn picture. It was 2
That's
feet in
not
front of my
true, right?
face.
They were in plain view when I saw him with a flashlight.
Okay. Where the gun is, where you now 4 years later know where the gun is, without moving anything, was that gun in plain view?
No.
What?
So when she asked you, did you take pictures only of things in plain view, and you said yes, that is not true.
Yes, that's true.
What?
Officer, You just testified that that gun was not in plain view.
I didn't see it.
I'm not asking you, you saw it. I'm asking you if that photo shows things that were not in plain view.
Correct.
So
What?
the answer is yes. You took photos of things that were not in plain view.
Correct. The door.
So
when I
you
opened
moved
the door,
things
I
around to
didn't see
take the picture.
guy in there.
Cop, you're fucking yourself here, buddy. You are screwing yourself, man.
Thank you. No further questions.
Oh,
Okay.
that was brutal. That was not a good ending to this dude's testimony. Wow. Dude clearly didn't understand the question. It was in plain view, I guess, but I didn't notice it at the time. Would have been the answer. I think that's the answer he was looking for. It was in plain view, but I just didn't see it because I was busy taking pictures of everything else. Oh, something can be in. It's true if he didn't see the gun. I mean, things can be in plain view, but you just don't see them. I mean, how many times are you looking for your phone or your key or your keys or your glasses, and they're right in damn front of you, but for some reason you just don't see them? I don't think it's an improper search. I don't think they did anything wrong with respect to the vehicle, but the way they're answering these questions is making it sound like they may not have done everything right. And this guy, he just testified that he didn't touch anything, he didn't manipulate anything, but he was taking pictures of things that weren't in plain sight. Those are just diametrically opposed statements. Idiot.
Now, Ranger Salinas, when defense counsel asked you regarding the first time you saw, or let me ask you this first, just a moment. I want you to look at State's Exhibit 7. Defense Exhibit 7.
Oh,
You
yeah.
open the doors.
Mom's
you took
favorite
this
statement.
photograph.
If that gun was a
Correct.
snake, it would have bitten you.
You also took a photograph of the front of the vehicle. Is that correct?
Correct.
And the back.
Correct.
Did you have time to look at the details in the photograph that you had just
I'm
taken?
going to object to the again.
No.
And yesterday, during your direct examination, did you take these photographs?
Yes.
Before yesterday, had you noticed this object here?
No.
What is this object? What does it appear to be? And let me see if I can zoom in.
Oh, now you screwed up the focus. God. Look at that. It's a gun right there.
Closer inspection of this picture that you took. What does this appear to be?
A black pistol.
What part of that pistol?
The butt.
He said.
But when you took the photograph, you just snapped the camera. Were you looking at all the little details in it?
No.
And because you didn't see the gun, it prompted you to do what?
Just close it back up.
Okay? But
Enhance.
you saw an empty holster?
And it probably let the guys know on the ground that there might be a weapon involved.
And then when they didn't have the gun, after they apprehended Ortiz,
I instructed them to go search around the area.
so it's your testimony today that when you were at the strikes, the purpose of these photos was for what?
To preserve the stuff that I had seen.
But you didn't see.
And
See,
also,
all
the
of
things
this
that
was
you had
completely
not seen, isn't that
unnecessary.
true?
Correct.
If he would have
Was to
just said,
preserve
yeah,
the
I didn't
condition
see it then.
as
I
you
took the
found
picture
it
and
there.
I took another picture and I moved on. I didn't notice it at that time. There's
Correct.
nothing wrong with
When you
saying
say
that.
preservation photos, what does that mean?
To preserve what's there.
Yeah, exactly.
I got the rest.
All he really, that's all he had to say was, I was just taking pictures quickly, moving on to take other pictures. I didn't study inside the car what was there. I just didn't see it. I didn't notice it that. And later when I looked at the picture, I went, oh, well, damn, there's a gun right there. That's all he had to say.
That DPS form that you saw, that you know which one I'm talking about, right?
Yes, sir.
It says inventory form. It doesn't say preservation form, right?
Correct.
Because generally, with regards to what you're talking about, it's inventory or search. There's no preservation. Inventory or search. You agree with that?
No, because
I just asked you if you agreed. No further questions. Thank you, officer.
No further questions.
You may sit down. You're excused, sir.
Wow, that was unnecessarily bad. I don't think this guy did anything wrong, but the prosecution sure made it sound like he did. He made him testify in a way that made him say he did something wrong. And a lot of you are asking why the prosecution is sitting down. This isn't that uncommon. I mean, the defense guy is sitting down.
The 116, was it there? Because I know he had a copy. It looked like
It's actually
was
not
he had
that
the copy or the exhibit.
Oh, shut up, Judge. I'm
116.
trying
Just
to
make
talk.
sure that the 116 is still there.
I'm trying to
I
talk.
don't know
here,
who had it.
Judge.
You had it or the witness.
Stop interrupting me, Judge. I would assume, I don't know, but I would assume
Okay.
that
Just want to make sure we keep it. with
maybe the
other exhibits.
defendant
And
has
you were
shackles
asking
on his
who's-
feet,
you have
or
another
is,
witness?
is chained to the handcuff
Yes,
of the
he's
chair or
accused. He
something.
released from the.
So
subpoena.
it's not that uncommon. If the defendant can't stand up or move around or whatnot, then his lawyers will often sit down so it doesn't draw attention
You're
to
an
the
next
fact
witness?
that their guy can't
Can you
move.
raise your right hand so I can enter the oath?
And you saw
You
that with
promise for
in the
testimony you're
Brooks
going to give you
trial.
in this trial,
Daryl
the
Brooks,
truth,
he
the whole
couldn't
truth, and
walk
nothing but the
around
truth, so help you God.
because he
Thank
was
you. You may
he was
get-
chained to his chair, and so even the prosecution, they agreed not to stand
Yes.
up, so it wouldn't draw attention to it and prejudice them against the guy. So I think he's probably shackled or manacled or something to his chair or the floor. And so his lawyers are just supporting him there. That's what I think happened. That's why I think they're sitting down. But I like this defense lawyer. I really like him a lot. He was a dick the first day or two. Now he's in his groove. I'm liking him. He's doing his job effectively and well, considering what he's got to work with. He's doing a good job.
And you got them.
I have the mic. Test,
Thank
test.
you.
Test. Oh dear.
For the record, Daniel Elizondo for the state. Good morning,
They're
Mr.
bringing
Daniel.
Good morning.
A
For the
new
record, could you
lawyer
please
for
state
every
your full
witness.
name?
My name is Sean Daniel.
How are you currently employed?
I work for the New Mexico Department of Public Safety,
And all my hair
Prior
on
to
my
that,
head
where
and
were you
face is
employed?
the same length.
the Texas Department of Public Safety.
What were your duties at the Texas Department of Public Safety?
I was a forensic scientist in the firearm and tool mark section.
And how long were you employed at the Texas Department of Public Safety as a firearm tool marks and analyst?
I think around 6 years.
What were your duties there with regards to the day-to-day work?
So my job as a forensic scientist was to analyze evidence related to crimes.
He looks kind of like a capuchin monkey.
What is
Like
your
a spider
educational
monkey.
background?
Spider monkey or a capuchin monkey, one of the two.
What qualifies me for this position is my biology degree.
Wow.
And do you have
Nice
any other
Flowbee blast.
education that you received, undergraduate?
I like that. You're both
I
thinking.
do. Yeah, I have a finance degree also.
What about any specific training you've received in the area of firearm and tool mark examination?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
Yes. Have you received any specific training with regards to firearms and tool mark examinations?
Yes, I have. When I was hired for this position, I went through a training program that was about a year and a half long. We went through different, modules with the history of the field, different manufacturing techniques, a lot of firearm safety.
No, he doesn't.
function, a lot of microscope work. And then after that training, I go into supervised casework where I'm working actual cases under the supervision of a trained examiner.
I'm
And
the
then
smart one in
after I
the
complete
bunch.
that, then I do independent casework. Since then, I've done continuing education, and this has been my job, 40 hours a week since then.
And at the time you were working at the Texas DPS, it was a crime lab, correct?
Yes.
At the crime lab, were you licensed as a forensic analyst?
Yes, I was.
By who?
The Texas Forensic Science Commission.
And just for the jury's sake, how many times have you yourself conducted firearm tool mark examinations?
Many times.
More than 20?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
More than 50?
Yes. I've worked hundreds of cases.
So it's in the hundreds then?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, you can tell this guy's from
at the time you were
he's a real
employed at the
Texan.
Texas DPS crime lab,
He'll get around
was
to
the
his
lab you're
answer
working
when
at
he's
accredited?
damn good
Yes.
and ready.
was that accreditation recognized by the Texas Forensic Science Commission?
Yes.
And was that accreditation recognized and accepted nationally or internationally?
Yes.
So shifting gears here, I want to ask you a simple question. Is it possible in your field and in your science and expertise to determine whether a particular bullet was fired from a particular gun?
Yes.
Oh, he's one of those faces
Okay.
that,
Could
like have like the
could you please explain
magnetical
to the
iron
jury how it
filings
is
and
that
you
you
move the
come to
magnet
such a
around and
conclusion?
give them
What's
hair
the
and beards and
day-to-day
mustache
typical
things.
examination
He's like one of those
of
magnetic
firearm
face
and
painting things.
projectiles and casings?
Like a typical case that I work.
Like a
Is that
typical
what you're
case you
asking?
work.
So when I receive the evidence, I'm looking at the paperwork, seeing what's being asked of me.
Yes,
What
the
is the
magnet tool.
evidence and what's being asked of me. I'm going to take the evidence, I'm
Woolly Willy,
labeling
that's what
everything,
it
I'm
was. It was
documenting
the Woolly
everything
Willy.
as I'm going. I take the packaging, I open it up, I see what the items are. Again, labeling them and documenting as I'm going. I'm going to look at the fired ammunition components. What kind of bullets are they? Looking at the cartridge cases. Measuring and documenting different characteristics about them. If there's with the firearm, I'm going to do safety and function tests with them to see if it's safe and something that I want to fire. So if I deem that it is something safe that I want to fire, I go into the range and I shoot into a water tank. I take ammunition that is at the laboratory that we bought at the store. It's ammunition that is very similar to the ammunition collected at a crime scene.
Wait. We're doing this here. Tell me this is not the witness. Wooly Willy has a magnetic personality. This is Wooly Willy.
And then I'm going to compare the two samples together. So I'm comparing the unknown samples from the crime scene to the known samples that I test fired from the gun. And I'm doing pattern recognition analysis under a comparison microscope. Then I'll form my conclusion. I'll write my report. I'll close that case up, package up the evidence, and then start the next case.
So you said that you'll examine and test a known sample to an unknown sample. And go ahead.
That's correct.
And so you're testing what comes out of the gun, correct?
That's correct.
Do you have a demonstrative on you that you can show the jury to kind of show what it is and the components that you're looking at and testing and examining?
I do.
Would it assist the jury in understanding what you're talking about when you're saying I'm taking measurements and looking at the size and all of that?
I believe it does.
Your Honor, at this time we would ask that he be allowed to use his demonstrative to educate the jury as to what it is he looks at.
It's a plastic model of ammunition.
What the fuck is that? This is a plastic model.
Go ahead and explain to the
ammunition.
jury what it is you look at.
So you're saying this isn't this is a demonstrative? You're saying this is not a
so
real
this
bullet?
is just to help with some terminology. This is one round of ammunition.
This
It's
is a
called
butt
cartridge.
plug. It's called a butt plug.
This part right here
It's called a thermos.
is the projectile. This is what travels down the barrel And this is, what you're shooting. This is the projectile or the bullet. So the whole thing is not called the bullet. Usually in TV shows and movies and stuff, they call the whole thing a bullet. But this part is the bullet. The whole thing, a live round, is called a cartridge. This would be the primer area that the firing pin strikes. And then this is called the cartridge case. So again, the whole thing is a cartridge. This is the bullet. This is a cartridge case.
Shut up, guys.
Examining them with the known sample and the unknown sample. What is it on that you're looking for?
Well, with the bullet, whenever the bullet travels through the barrel, it's engaging the rifling and the bore of the barrel, and it's going to leave, scratches on the bullet. So that's what we're comparing, these marks right here. On the cartridge case, there's a whole lot of information on these. There can be chamber marks on the side body here. Of course, the firing pin impression, and also this part right here actually slams against the breech face during the firing
Slam
process.
against my breech face. Slam it against my breech face. Oh.
And so on this part, we call these breech face marks or breech face impressions. And there's some other marks, but those are the big ones.
So with these characteristics, how are you comparing them? I mean, could you explain to the jury what
that mustache is not
an
real
individual characteristic is versus a class characteristic?
So whenever I'm doing my microscopic comparison, the first thing that I'm looking at is called class characteristics. These are design features that are determined before a tool or firearm is ever made. So an example of that would be the diameter of the bullet, the caliber of the cartridge, the shape of the firing pin. So these are general features. To give you an example of why they're important in a comparison, if a crime scene had cartridge cases with round firing pins, and you give me a gun that creates square firing pin impressions, and I look at that, I'm going to eliminate the gun as firing those because the class characteristics do not agree. So I'm looking at a number of different class characteristics on the cartridge cases and on the bullets. And I'm going to compare those unknown samples to the known samples, and I'm looking at those class characteristics first. And if those class characteristics, if any of them disagree, then it's an elimination. But if they're all in agreement, then I move deeper into my analysis and I look at individual characteristics. Those are the little nicks and ticks and the unique things to that tool or firearm. Then I'm going to do my pattern analysis on that. And if I see if there's a significant or a sufficient disagreement, then I would eliminate them. If I see sufficient agreement, then I would identify it. And in some cases, I can't really tell. There's just not enough information. That would be an inconclusive conclusion.
So when you are able to analyze a
He's
gun
like
and have
Mario and
sufficient
Wario's
findings,
Hispanic cousin,
would you
Mario.
say, is it safe to say that that's similar to a fingerprint?
Yes, and that's a really good analogy. It's like the tool or firearm has fingerprints. And when you get that physical contact between the ammunition components and the firearm, it's a lot like the firearm is leaving its fingerprints, so to speak, on those ammunition components. And that's what I'm looking at. Those would kind of like be the individual characteristics.
So in this case, did you conduct any type of analysis as you described to the jury?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And as part of that analysis and evaluation, did you prepare a report?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Your Honor, permission to approach?
You may approach Barrio Brothers. It's not pouch from Chips. It's Paunch from Chips. Paunch, like Pancho, like Pancho Villa. Or Poncherelli, I believe his name was. It's Pancho Villa's Italian cousin. Oh, come on. I like my Barrio. That was a good joke. Nobody laughed. Oh, well. Y'all suck. SNL's good with Jimmy Fallon playing the attorney. I'm just so happy to be testifying here in this courtroom today.
236. Are you familiar with this document?
Yep, it's paper, all right. It appears to have some typing on it. Shall I read it? Are you from Greenbow, Alabama?
Yes, I am.
How are you familiar with it?
This is the report that I issued.
Exactly. That's where I was going with
summarizes
this.
my conclusions of my analysis for this case.
Okay. Was this report generated in the normal course of business of the Texas DPS Crime Lab?
Yes, it was.
Was this report made at or near the time the events that this report talks about took place?
Yes.
Exactly.
And has this report been
I'm glad
materially
someone
altered in any way?
understands the concept. Congratulations, amateur iconoclast.
Let
You're
the record
smart.
reflect, I'm now tendering to defense State's Exhibit 236 for review, and would like to admit that into evidence.
Assuming you're offering it.
Yes, I'm offering.
We'd object. Well, if I could ask a question. Did you prepare this report yourself?
Yes, sir, I did.
Judge, we'd object to being offered into evidence. It's not a business record. It's his personal report. It's not an offense report.
I'm gonna just report,
Judge, if he wants to have a conversation, we approach the bench.
Ooh,
Go
this
ahead.
is interesting. You can get the evidence in if it's a business record, if it's an official report filed. Wow, for record purposes. Apparently, this is his own personal report, like memo to himself. Oh, this is interesting. This isn't an official report prepared in his capacity as a medical examiner, apparently. Wow. All right. Let's see. We got all the super chats out of the way and all the other comments out of the way, so we're doing good here. Now's a good time for a midstream grift. We have 600 people here and 500 likes ish. So if you haven't hit that like button, do me a favor, do me a solid, reach down there and hit that like button. While he takes notes here frantically on his pad, just reach down there and hit that like button. I would appreciate that. Get those likes up so YouTube sends out the message that we are here. 600, right around 600 seems to be the magic number. So we just need 100 more likes and we'll be ready to go. YouTube will know that I am liked and loved. And if you haven't subscribed, please do me a solid and hit that subscribe button. We're doing our best here with this trial, and the faster this trial gets over, the faster we can move on to different things. And XCOMer Triple Z has gifted one Legal Vices membership. Thank you so much for the one Legal Vices membership, and it went to C. John. C. John gets the one XCOMer Triple Z Legal Vices membership.
Evidence at this time.
Mr. Daniel, in your opinion, this would assist the jury in understanding the discussions we're about to have if this was published, then they could follow along.
I believe so, yes.
Do you have permission to publish State's Exhibit 236?
You may.
Well, thank you, Kendra Kate. That is deeply appreciated.
Mr. Daniel, so right here you have a section for evidence, description, and results of analysis and interpretation. This list, is this a list of items that you received to test and conduct analysis on?
All right.
Yes, it is.
Looks like they got it into evidence, so that's good. The defense loses that objection.
Permission to approach Mr. Daniel?
He's writing fat cops 1,000 times. And Christel says this trial makes me look forward to my dentist appointment this afternoon. Apologies for putting on a glove. Get some Vaseline and bend over there, examiner.
All right.
I think the prosecutor's like mustache and eyebrows are interchangeable.
All right. I'll let you put your gloves on, but I'm going to ask you a couple questions while you're doing that.
What's in the box?
What has been previously marked and admitted as State's Exhibit 36.
Who are we pointing the gun at there, prosecutor?
Is this an item that you received for evaluation?
Say yes.
Yes, it is.
God.
And how
scared me. I didn't say I know or
yes,
I don't know.
How are you familiar with it?
So I know that I examined it because I have my case identifier sticker on the firearm. This sticker is unique to this item. It has information like the case number. It has the agency item number, the lab item number, the date, and my initials on it. So I know that I examined this firearm.
And when would be the first time that you saw this firearm?
Oh no, the Dean Cummings
notes to have a date.
Prosecutor was much worse than this.
It'd be February 11th, 2019.
Okay. And what, if anything, did you do with this particular firearm?
Well, the first thing I do after labeling it and making sure that it's unloaded is to function test it. And, checking all the safeties, making sure that it's functional, making sure that there's nothing wrong with it. And again, is it something that I want to test fire?
Okay. And did you end up test firing it and making sure it was safe to use?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Could you explain to the jury what it is that you did with regards to the test fires?
So with the test fires, after I fire them,
this is actually very important testimony.
The very first thing you do is you label them, and then I'm going to do a comparison among the that known sample of test fires to see what patterns are repeating.
They're testing the bullet patterns, the rifling and the scratching on the barrel, so that they can say that the bullets that were pulled out of the heads of some of the victims are the same as rounds fired out of that gun. They're tying the weapon and the bullets to the defendant.
Tested the same firearm that I just showed you.
Yes, it is.
And with regards to this, was any evidence ammunition provided to your office?
Yes.
And what, if anything, did you do with that evidence ammunition?
The live rounds, I didn't do the majority of them. I didn't do any analysis, any type of comparative analysis with them. Two of the live rounds that were submitted as evidence, I used as test fires.
I saw some of the afternoon
right
section.
21-02-AB.
Yes.
So you received live ammunition from the Webb County Sheriff's Office, and of that ammunition you used to make known samples?
That's correct.
Okay. I'm now going to show you what's been marked and previously admitted as State's Exhibit 40, 41, 42, 46A, 45A, and 44B. Are you familiar with these items?
Yes, I am.
How do you recognize them?
They also have my case identifier sticker on the packaging, so I know that I examined them.
Okay. And when would have been the first time you've seen these items?
It appears the date on them is Yeah, on all the packaging is February 11th, 2019.
Okay. With these particular pieces of evidence that I've handed over to you, did you test them? And if you need to look at your report to refresh your memory to make sure.
I do.
We can move this.
Yeah. Look at your report to refresh your memory, but don't read it. Just use it to refresh your memory. This is always such a stupid thing. You can't remember the sentence, but you can't read what's in the report out loud, but you can look at it and refresh your memory and memorize the one sentence and then repeat it. So I just always thought this was a stupid thing. I get why it's there. You know, you want them to be relying on their memories, but it's a ridiculous kind of, you know, it's a sham. We all know it. We all know they're reading it and just repeating
And what
what they
was your
just read.
question now?
Yes. Did you perform any analysis or tests on these items that are in front of you?
Yes, I did.
Okay. On all of them? Just to be clear.
Yes.
Okay. Now let's see. This one seems to still have, if I'm not mistaken, your DPS crime lab tape and has been unopened. Am I correct in saying that?
It's definitely sealed, and I see my where I have sealed it. Yes.
I'm gonna have
Hang
you
on, I
open
need an ashtray.
any of those that are still sealed, and that way we can take a look at them.
Okay. Do you want me to open all of them?
All of them. If they're still sealed, please open them.
Okay.
Did the medical examiner stab anyone yet?
Oh, this one is open.
Already. And those last
This
three
one
might
is
be.
open. And this one is open.
Oh.
So these three are open.
All right. Now showing you what's been marked and previously admitted as State's Exhibit 44, 46, and 45. Are these projectiles that you received and tested, conducted an analysis on?
Yes, they are.
Okay. I've now opened State's Exhibit 40
Sounds like Mr.
and retrieved
Rogers.
what was in there. I'm going to do the same for 41 and 42. Now you said that these were cartridge casings, correct?
That's correct.
But they're also commonly referred to as just casings.
Yes, that's a slang term for it.
Okay. Were these cartridge casings tested by you?
Yes, they were.
Okay. Your Honor, permission to publish State's Exhibit 40, 41, 42, 45, 46, and 44? Thank you.
Pretty Mama Bear asks the most important question of the day. How many more days is this trial expected to last? The judge said 2 weeks, and so that means this thing's supposed to be done by Friday. That ain't very long. It's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I guess we're assuming that the defense isn't going to put on a case. Yeah. Where did you get your calabash and where you? I honest to God can't remember where I got this. Meerschaum Market, maybe. And
These are all
It has Sutliff Frosty
That's
Mint
correct.
Tobacco.
And pursuant to your lab report, that would have been item number 4.
The next trial? I hope it's Courtney Clenny. That's supposed to start next week.
From scene 4-04AA cartridge casing from scene. 12-01 one bullet from Melissa Ramirez.
Nobody in my family smokes a pipe.
12-02 one bullet from Melissa Ramirez. And 12-03 one bullet from Melissa Ramirez. These would coincide with those on your report, correct?
Yes, they would.
And from scene, are you familiar with what scene these were taken from? I'm sorry, these casings?
It's my understanding they were taken from the Melissa Ramirez scene.
And after you completed your evaluation on this, these are what you would call, let me back up. These are what you would call an unknown sample, correct?
That's correct.
And then you previously said you had 2 known samples that were fired from this firearm right here.
That's correct, but I actually had 5 unknown samples. I fired a total of 5 test fires.
So of those 5, 2 of them were from ammunition that had been sent to your lab.
That's correct. 3 of them were ammunition that were store-bought that we keep at the laboratory as stock. And then 2 of them were evidence cartridges. So a total of 5.
And after doing your analysis, which I believe you said you do it under a microscope, right?
Yes.
What did you find on all of these projectiles? What was the conclusion?
On those particular items, it was my opinion that they were fired by the pistol, that pistol right there.
Burnt Umber says, "Hey Jeff, your Barrio joke reminds me. Dating a guy who tried to get me into cricket while naming elements of the game, cricket, the wicket. I interrupted him with, what's the outfield called? The thicket? And laughed my ass off. No more cricket." Good for you. Thank you so much for that very, very generous super chat too, by the way. Deeply appreciated. Rush to Judgment says, "I need to talk more to keep you awake on your drive." I do, and everybody tells me to shut the fuck up because they want to listen to the trial. So I try to maintain a happy medium here.
After your evaluation of those,
it's easier when there's fat people on the stand.
Firearm, correct?
That's correct.
How did you come to that conclusion?
So just as before, when I was explaining, how I analyze a normal case, I'm looking at the class characteristics first.
That's fine.
And those were all in agreement. So I go deeper into my analysis and look at the individual characteristics. And again, it's doing pattern recognition. And when I see a pattern that has sufficient agreement, then I form the conclusion that it's an identification and that the ammunition was fired by the gun.
Okay. What movie was that, AP?
No.
What the hell movie was that where you put the... Oh, Kevin Costner. Yeah, okay. That's right, yeah.
51. Oh, yes, anyway. 47.
Oh, wait, he wasn't even actually British
49.
and he liked cricket? Oh, please.
And 48. If I'm not mistaken, I believe 51 and 50 are still sealed. So if we can go, actually before that, if you could identify this envelope and tell me whether or not that was something that you're familiar with?
I am familiar with both of these items.
And how is it that you're familiar with these items?
They have my case identifier sticker on them.
Okay. When was the first time that you would have seen those two items in particular?
These items I saw on February 12th of 2019.
Okay. If you don't mind, could you please open them up? And for the record, they are still sealed, correct?
Yes. Pretending to
Yes,
examine
they're
them
still
closely.
Okay.
All right.
And actually,
He likes cricket. I got news for
for the
you.
record, Your Honor, I'm going to move
That
the
means you're
state's
gay.
exhibit sticker. So I do think it lines up with where he's about to.
I can cut somewhere else.
Okay.
While he is going through the ritual of the opening of the evidence, Carlos Delfino says, I want to know how the system works that keeps track of which bullet gets handed to what officer works. That's what they're talking about when they talk about the chain of custody. When you get something, the crime scene examiner, whoever picks up that
Let's take a
evidence,
look at State's
will
Exhibit
log
50
when and where they picked it up, sign it.
and
The next
State's
person they
Exhibit
give it
51.
to, that person
You
signs a
recognize these
receipt
items?
and the time
I
they
do.
got it
Okay.
and where it
Is there any
goes.
particular
And the
thing that
next
you do
person
with these
takes
to make
it.
sure
So
you
there's,
recognize
it's like a
applications?
library card check
Yeah,
back in
actually
the old
with
school days.
a lot of the items,
So
I
you
can
know who took
scribe
it,
them.
when,
So I take
who
a
they
metal
gave it to,
scribe
when they
and I
got it back,
scribe the case
etc.
identifiers on the item themselves. I do that with the cartridge cases and the bullets.
Okay. Your Honor, permission to publish State's Exhibit 51? I said you scribe, correct?
That's correct.
Satan says, watch the gloves rip open. Well, if you're the
Just
Dark
some
Lord, make it happen
markings
for our
on it,
amusement.
That I don't think you would see in a traditional store-bought bullet. Is that your scribing?
Yes, towards the mouth of the cartridge case. So
Oh,
on
I
the
see.
model, it's right here. You can actually see it scribed.
So right
So I
there.
put unique case identifiers and they're scribed in there.
Okay. And that would coincide
Exactly.
with right where this pencil tip is, correct?
That's correct.
Those metal scribings.
Yes.
So you've already said that you're familiar
I might
with
have to smoke
51 and
some
50.
cherry.
Now, are you
after-
familiar with State's Exhibit
after the break.
49, 47, and I believe it's 48?
I'm gonna go until the lunch break, so another hour or so, another hour and 15 minutes. Or wait, another 2 hours? Fuck.
I am familiar with these items.
Are you familiar with those items?
The packaging has my case identifier sticker on it and the packaging is sealed.
All right. And
I don't know if John's
again,
gonna
like you had
take over.
testified
I hope
earlier,
so. I think he is.
there would be some scribing on it.
Yeah, on the bullets, it's actually a different type of bullet than this, but I scribe it on the base. These bullets have a closed base, but I would scribe it right here.
Okay. Your Honor, permission to publish State's Exhibit 51, 50, 48, 49, and 47? Mr. Daniel, did you perform an analysis on all of these?
Saren. What did Saren
Yes,
do
I
to you?
did.
Satan can stay, but Saren's got to go.
Just so we're clear, these.
Buenas morning.
These items should coincide with on your report. items number
Can't see it, dude. There we go. Still can't see it.
27, 2702 AB1, 2702 AC1, and then 2801. I'm sorry, 2802, one gray fragment, and 2803.
Circle C. The answer is
one
always
bullet
C.
fragment. And then just so we're clear, 2702 AB-01 was one 40 Smith & Wesson cartridge casing from scene, and 2702 AC-01 was a 40 Smith & Wesson cartridge casing from scene. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
I love you, chat. You guys are great.
So you did conduct a test on all of these items here.
I did.
And what was your findings after you conducted that analysis of these unknown samples to the known samples you took from this H&K firearm?
So the item in the top left and the top center, I didn't do any comparative analysis because there wasn't anything to compare to. There just wasn't much information on them.
Sorry, which one did you not do an analysis on?
So I didn't do a comparative analysis on the top left item.
This one?
Correct. And then
Jesus, dude, where did you learn
and then
how to put
also
gloves
State
on?
Exhibit
Jesus,
48
dude,
in
where
the
did you
top
learn to put
center.
gloves on?
There just wasn't enough data for me to compare to the known sample.
Okay. But you did conduct an analysis on State's Exhibit 49.
Yes, I did.
As
Hey,
well as
American
51,
Dreamer. So
Yes.
And as well as 50.
Yes.
To your knowledge, do you know where these, based on the lab submission reports or anything that's in your records, where
so you can
these,
see here on the
came
video,
from?
everybody
I would
that's
have to look
touched
at my
this
notes.
has signed
Please
for
go
it
ahead
and
and
put
do so.
their dates
Your
on it.
Honor, may I refer to my notes?
That's how you know who has this bullet, when they got it, where it went, and who took it from them, and etc. So that's how evidence is handled. Juan needs Jesus, not Santana.
I do know which crime scene they came from.
And which ones were those?
The victim was Claudine
Loretta?
Loretta. I apologize.
I don't know who's
These came
dead.
from Claudine's scene and from her body.
That's what the submission form says, yes.
Okay. And after conducting the analysis, what was your conclusion?
It's my opinion that those three items, the bullet and two cartridge cases on the screen, were fired by that pistol right there.
Okay. And just to get into a little bit more detail for the jury, I'd like to talk about, and I know you had mentioned it earlier with regards to the firing pin, correct?
Yes.
Could you please tell us what it was that you found on this one, on this casing, and obviously the casings that you've already testified that you had tested, what their similarities were or anything like that?
Well, they had what we call a hemispherical firing pin impression, and the breech faces were parallel.
And what does that mean?
So if you look at the firing pin impression, it's kind of like you took an ice cream scoop and scooped out ice cream. It's real rounded, not just when you're looking at it from this direction, but it's rounded from the bottom. It's hemispherical, and on the breech face, you can actually see it on this model, maybe a little bit. Well, maybe not. But the
Weirdly, I
lines
know
are
what a breech
parallel
face is, but I
across
have
here.
no idea what his
Again, this is the
explanation
area
meant.
that slams on the back of the breech face during cycling. And so the marks on the breech face are going to be parallel, and they're going to impress onto the back of these cartridge cases.
And on not just the ones that you've already testified to, but on all of them that you tested in your report, they all had that same breech face and the same firing pin style.
The class characteristics I looked at were in agreement, yes.
Someone's got the meth twitches back there behind him. Jeez, she can't sit still. Oh, wait. What's happening? Somebody's back there behind Fort Brooks. We have an impromptu Fort Brooks back there. Can you slowly replace the evidence, prosecutor? Seriously, she's all twitchy back there. Yeah, see, she's snorting coke off her pinky there. You know she is.
Now I want to show you what's been marked and previously admitted as State's Exhibit 145. Are you familiar with this envelope?
Yes, I am.
Okay. How are you familiar with this envelope?
It has my case identifier sticker on it.
And when would have been the first time you saw this envelope?
February 12th of 2019.
Okay. I also want to show you what's been marked for identifying purposes as 56A, 55A, 52, 53, and 54. Are you familiar with all of these envelopes that I've just handed to you?
Yes, I am.
Take
How
your
is it that you're
time.
familiar with all of these envelopes?
They have my case identifier sticker on them.
And when would you have seen these envelopes for the first time?
It looks like they were all marked February 12th, 2019.
All right. I want to take some of these out. You could help me with those last two.
Okay, these are going to need to be opened.
All right. I think these last three actually will.
Again, this is really important testimony. This is what's linking him to the bullets, to the gun and the bullets, to say that the 5 rounds he test fired have the same distinctive markings as the bullets that were pulled out of the head of his victims. So they were fired from the same gun. They're the same rounds fired from the same gun with the same markings. This is why he's not going to walk.
Ready?
Three.
Okay. All right. Now that we've removed these items from the packaging, do you recognize all of them?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And how do you recognize all of them?
They have my scribings in them,
It's
and
the
I also write
Hispanic
the
Poirot.
case number and
Nice.
ink on the case body to make it a little easier to see.
Okay.
Hercule
And
Poirot.
you did conduct an analysis of all of these items here?
Hector
Yes, I
Poirot. He's Hector
Your Honor,
Poirot, his
permission to
brother.
publish State's Exhibit 52, 53, 54, 55, and 56?
Judge, if I might, have they been admitted into evidence?
Yes, these have all been previously admitted.
Yes, sir. I was verifying before.
Sit down and shut the fuck up, mister. I don't know what's going on.
Do you need to?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Ooh, there's like some telepathy. Do you need to? Mm-mm. Ooh. Oh, we didn't do the 2-hour griftathon, so we'll do it now. 581 concurrent viewers and 564 likes. We've had probably a full stream turnover for most of you, so get out there and hit that like button. I would deeply, deeply appreciate it. Listen to my mods. They keep telling you to smash the like button, so just go ahead and do it.
All right. Now showing you exhibit 56, 55, 54, 53, and 52. Would these exhibits coincide with items number 2402AA, 16 federal cartridge, 1640 Smith & Wesson cartridge, 24-03-AA, again a federal 40 Smith & Wesson cartridge casing, 24-04AA, a 40 Smith & Wesson cartridge casing, and items number 2501, unknown object submitted as bullet fragment from scene, and 2502, bullet fragment from scene.
That's because only the cool kids hang
These
around with the whole
coincide with
thing.
those item numbers on your lab report?
Yes, they do.
Currently, average view duration is 34 minutes and
you
56
previously
seconds.
testified right now that you did conduct an analysis of all of these,
Stats.
right?
Yes, I did.
And after conducting your analysis of these unknown samples, correct?
Rush to judgment.
correct.
Yesterday was your birthday.
Unknown
Happy
samples
birthday
you took from this
yesterday.
guy.
Yes.
What was your conclusion?
Very happy birthday to you.
Can you flip over States Exhibit 56, please, so I can see the item number? Is that 2501?
Bring it back to you.
Careful, don't lose the fucking evidence there,
Just a little
dickweed.
difficult to see
Oh,
the
no
two
worries.
items.
Dude, you've got some rogue evidence here. Put it back where it belongs. There you go.
So
Good boy.
the item in the top left, States Exhibit 56, it wasn't, yeah, I didn't do any comparative analysis on that. Just wasn't consistent with an ammunition component. I labeled it as an unknown object,
Okay.
so not an ammunition component.
So 56 was not tested then for comparative analysis.
I didn't do any comparative analysis on that, correct.
Was 55?
55 and the 3 cartridge cases, it was my opinion that they were fired by that pistol.
Okay. Based on what again?
Again, microscopic comparison of the class characteristics and individual.
Another day older and
Individual
deeper in
characteristics
depth.
of what?
The tool marks.
Okay.
Great song.
And are you aware, again, just like before, which crime scenes these came from?
We'll do that at lunch if I don't hear
I
from
am.
John,
My paperwork has
including
the victim
me.
listed
I'm
as
bailing and going to
Giselda
law of
Hernandez.
self-defense. He's streaming the cool trial.
I'm from Giselda Hernandez then. That's where
Yes.
these came from.
That's what my paperwork has, yes.
Okay. And again, they were tested, and you, in your opinion, said that they came from that firearm.
Yes.
Good for you, Fedorovsky, and it shouldn't be. What's guy doing back there behind Fort Brooks? That's what I want to know. Once we figured out who Negan was, he left. And I got to figure out what the Alamo builder guy back there has got behind the Alamo. Yeah, he's got the funner case, but we're definitely cooler. He is streaming the what's the guy's name? Aaron somebody or other case. Another cop that shot a woman through her window without announcing himself.
And finally, I want to show you what's being marked as States Exhibit 57 and States Exhibit 58. Are you familiar with these items?
Yes, I am.
And how are you familiar with these items?
The packaging has my case identifier sticker on it.
Okay. And when would have been the first time that you saw these items?
February 12th of 2019.
Okay. Now we have this one. I believe this one's still sealed. So we can
This case
open it
should
up,
be
please.
interesting. This case should be the most interesting case in the universe. Alleged serial killer border agent. But it ain't. It's all Maud Rose's fault for making us watch this.
Do you want me to open this one also?
Or are you familiar with that envelope?
I am.
Okay.
It
And how are
has
you
my case identifier sticker on it.
Okay. And when would you have seen that item first?
Also February 12th of 2019.
Okay. Let's open it up. Now that you're seeing this item, are you familiar with that particular casing?
Yes, I am.
How are you familiar with that casing?
It has my case identifier scribed near the mouth of the cartridge case. And I wrote in ink what the item number was.
Okay. And did you conduct an analysis of these items?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Can I have permission to publish States Exhibit 58 and 57? All right. Are you familiar with where these items came from?
Yes, I am.
And where would that have been?
My paperwork has the victim as Humberto Ortiz. I think there was a different name that the individual went by, but my paperwork has Humberto.
Yes,
Ortiz.
it was not
Do you know
Umberto.
Ortiz?
Yes.
How she identified?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yes, Umberto's a dead name.
So
Don't
it's
dead name
unknown
Umberto.
unknown samples, correct?
Yes, I did.
Which were recovered from the scene of Humberto Ortiz, also known as Janelle Ortiz.
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay. And after
Her name is
comparing these
Janelle,
unknown samples
not
to
Umberto.
the known samples that you took from this H&K, what was your conclusion and what was your finding?
It was my opinion that those two items were fired by that pistol.
How did you come to that conclusion?
Same as before in any analysis we do, we look at the class characteristics and then the individual characteristics.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that last part? I had a little bit of trouble hearing there.
We look at the individual, the class characteristics, and if they're in agreement, we look at the individual characteristics.
Let's put the tire on the stand. At least the tire looks interesting.
All right. Just for the record again, you said you scribe on both the cartridge casings, which is the casing left behind after the projectile has been fired, and the projectiles or the bullets, correct?
That's correct.
Is that the scribe you're referring to that you put on the bullets?
Yes, they are.
And why is it that you do that?
It's to uniquely identify the item.
Okay. I believe you said you also do that on the casings, correct?
That's correct.
Would it? And you said it would be somewhere in this area, right?
That's correct.
And so again, why is it that you do that on the casings?
To uniquely identify that item.
Okay. And you also said you marked them with ink too. Is that correct?
Yes.
Would that be the marking in ink that you left?
Yes.
And why do you do that as well?
That's to make it a little easier for me to see the item number.
Okay.
Now,
Is there any way they
just
could have
looked at
presented this very important evidence in a
Windows
way that's
9
more
cases,
boring and
cartridge
puts less
cases,
emphasis on how important it
which
is?
again,
No, but I don't know if they
as you
could
said,
do it any
what's
better
left
either.
behind after the projectile is fired, correct?
Yes, 9 cartridge cases were submitted.
Do you know what size caliber these cartridges were?
The cartridge cases were 40 Smith & Wesson caliber.
Okay.
Is Smith & Wesson a caliber,
the
sir?
Manufacturer of those particular bullets or cartridges.
The cartridge cases had a federal head stamp on them.
Could you explain to the jury? You had said Smith & Wesson, and then you had also said federal. Are you familiar with why cartridge casing, the maker would be federal, but then you also have Smith & Wesson, which is also another firearms manufacturer. Could you explain why it is that you have those two markings on a single bullet?
Well, on the cartridge case, the head stamp, there's 40 Smith & Wesson, and that's the caliber. That's the type of cartridge that this is. So they make a lot of different types of calibers. They can make really small ones, really big ones, but that designates what the dimensions of this cartridge, this live round of ammunition, there's standards. And when you say 40 Smith & Wesson, it has to meet certain standards. So that manufacturers, if they're making either ammunition or a firearm, and they're saying it's 40 Smith & Wesson, it has to meet certain specs, the diameter of the bullet, the length of the cartridge case, the diameter of it. It's so that it'll operate. So it'll chamber in there very tightly, and that it'll fire. And there's a lot of different calibers out there. So the 40 Smith & Wesson refers to the caliber only. And
He should have
the
said
federal
this
refers to
first.
Who made the cartridge case. So Federal is the brand that just physically made the ammunition.
Yes,
and they made it in the 40 Smith & Wesson caliber.
In this particular case, based off of the projectiles,
Now you
the
ask
bullets
him
that were sent
what
to,
caliber the bullet is.
For analysis, were you able to tell
Well, the casing is.
what type of bullet they were?
Yes.
What type were they?
They were jacketed hollow point bullets.
Jeez. Scary words.
Do you know who that type of a jacketed hollow point is commonly used by?
A lot of manufacturers, and it's difficult to determine the brand of fired bullets unless there's very specific features to them. But they don't have like a head stamp on them like a cartridge case.
And if you know, are you aware as to whether or not law enforcement uses that kind of round?
Law enforcement uses a lot of different calibers and different ammunition. Yes.
Okay. But the jacketed hollow point in particular?
That's most common, yes.
That's the most common amongst law enforcement?
Yeah, I would say that's the standard, yes.
The standard.
Yeah.
Okay. And so here you have were all of these 40 Smith & Wesson caliber cartridges that were manufactured by Federal. I guess it was Federal that you said was the manufacturer?
Are you referring to the live ammunition?
Dude, don't over
cartridge
explain
cases?
this shit.
All the cartridge cases had a Federal head stamp on them.
And they were all 40 Smith & Wesson.
That's correct.
And all the projectiles that you tested and that you could have enough of the sample of, were those also jacketed hollow points?
Yes.
Okay. Permission to approach, Your Honor?
And just so you see it.
Oh, okay. I'm sure to get that right now. Thank you.
Yeah.
If it does not fit, you must acquit. Get the glove on there, sir.
Okay.
This is why you use the powdered gloves or the ones with the slick interiors.
Thank you for this.
Is the prosecutor the expert or is the expert the expert? There's no experts here, just witnesses.
On conclusion.
Do Howie Mandel bit. Stick the glove over his head.
After testing all 9 40 Smith & Wesson caliber cartridge casings, you determine what exactly?
It's my opinion that the 9 submitted cartridge cases were fired by the H&K pistol.
And after doing an analysis and evaluation on all 6 projectiles, which were what we learned to be fragments or bullet projectiles that came from the bodies of Melissa, Claudine, Janelle, and then projectiles that were found at the scene for Iselda, what was your conclusion after testing these specific items right here?
For those 6 projectiles, I determined it was my opinion that they were fired by the H&K pistol.
So they were all.
There we
Every
go.
single thing you tested was fired from this firearm right here.
Those items I listed, it was my opinion they were fired by the H&K pistol.
So now we've tied the fired rounds to. He's got like the math symbols floating over his head while he tries to figure out how fucked he is now. So yeah, they've just tied the rounds to the gun and the gun to him. He's the murderer now.
Yes, sir. Mr. Daniel, my name's Raymond Fuchs. I'm just having a few questions for you. Oh, I'm sorry.
Settle down there, sir.
Higher tech than I'm used to.
What is higher tech than you're used to? You're not using any tech. What are you talking about? A pencil is higher tech?
Okay, this sounds silly. Mr. Daniel, okay, my name is Raymond Fuchs, and I represent Juan David ORTIZ along with Joel Pettis, okay? I noticed when you first testified about your qualifications, you stated that you had undergraduate degrees in biology and finance. Was that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, just out of curiosity, what led you into guns?
Well, it really brought me into forensics. I've always liked science.
Attacking his
and
qualifications.
I chose forensics. I entered the field when I first started. I started as a DNA technician, which was a supportive role in the DNA section. But I got to see all the different sections, in the laboratory. I got to see fingerprints and drug analysis. I got to see firearms analysis, and I thought it was a pretty cool field. So a position opened, I applied, and I got it.
If I could brush with you,
Diabetes.
we're going to talk about this gun a little bit, which is State Exhibit 36. It looks like I like it.
Yeah.
So I'll just set it here. If you need to refer to it, fine. If you don't, that's fine too.
I don't chain smoke or drink at all. Well, while he tries to figure out how long to his next cigarette, I'm gonna go grab me some tea backer.
That weapon itself, State
I'll
Exhibit
be
number
right
36,
back.
is a H&K Model 40 S&W, correct?
The caliber is 40 Smith &
I believe
Wesson.
the weapon itself will have SW on it, will it not?
I believe the model is a P2000, but let me refer to my notes.
I should have brought my glasses with me.
So right here it has P2000 on the
And
slide.
then what's the rest of it say?
Well, that refers to the caliber. It says 40 Smith and Wesson. Yes,
But I
sir.
mean, the weapon itself has the 40 S&W on it.
That's correct. Yes.
So did he prove him wrong yet?
What type of metal is that barrel made out of?
Steel.
You know what type of steel?
I don't.
I mean, whether it's carbon steel, stainless steel.
Who the fuck
No,
cares?
sir, I don't.
So you don't know how much vanadium content it might have, or how much chromium content it might have.
So you're
no,
not
sir,
really an
that's getting
expert.
outside my area of expertise.
What type of bore does that barrel have?
I don't understand the question. I'm sorry.
Okay, so you wouldn't know the different, a conventional bore as opposed to a button bore?
Are you referring to the rifling or?
Yes, I'm talking about how the bore is created.
Well, the rifling is polygonal.
Okay, and what's the difference in that? In polygonal as opposed to what other kind?
Well, there's conventional rifling. Those are the two big ones. There's also polygonal with rails.
Now, when you test, you shoot a test fire, as it were.
This
and
lawyer
recover that projectile.
apparently
Yes,
doesn't
sir.
make enough money
And do
to
you
fix
compare it
his
to the ones
his
that
missing
have
tooth in
been
front of his
submitted to
face.
you in the laboratory?
Yes, sir.
What particular are you looking for to compare them?
So again, I'm looking at class characteristics, but I can kind of do that before I test fire. And then I'm going to, but there's some class characteristics I do need to test fire, and that's the rifle, the type of rifling, and also the rifling widths and dimensions. And then once I compare the class characteristics and I see that they're in agreement, then I look at the individual characteristics.
Okay, and again, is there certain terminology for what you're looking for?
Individual characteristics is the term we use. Yes, sir.
Something like landing grooves is sometimes used.
Landing grooves is referred to conventional rifling, yes.
See, they're just trying to make him
But
say
this
that he
is
doesn't know
what-
anything about guns.
Polygonal.
Okay, and what you're looking for then, is it ever referred to instead of landing grooves as hills and valleys?
Yes.
Okay, I mean, you've heard that before.
Yes, I have.
And where on the projectile do you look for these things? I mean, exactly how do you go about doing this?
Dude, fix that hole in your tooth.
Well,
You're not a
so
real lawyer.
I put the two objects up on my comparison microscope where I can see both of them, and I can kind of move them around. I can magnify them. I can change the lighting. I can turn them and rotate them. And I'm looking at pattern recognition. And so I find an area that may have a lot of individual characteristics on it, and then I rotate the other one to see if I can find that same pattern. When I find an orientation that I like, either the pattern is really good, or I can rotate it around. And whenever I find an orientation I like, I rotate the bullet around, and I'm looking at all the markings and everything, and seeing if everything's lining up.
Like your teeth, they line up.
If I could show you Statute Exhibit 57. Okay.
Thanks.
Now, where on that did you exactly look for what you just described?
So it'll probably be easier to see on my model, but it would be these markings here. So whenever the bullet is fired, it's engaging that rifling to create, the rifling's job is to impart a spin on the bullet, a lot like a quarterback throwing a football. It's to increase the accuracy and the distance of the bullet. So it has to engage that rifling. You get that metal on metal contact. And so that's the area that I'm looking at.
Oh yeah, metal on metal action. That's what we like, baby.
Did you bring those with you?
I did not know.
Okay, so we're not going to be able to see how much damage is done to that state's exhibit I just showed you compared to the normal projectile.
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
Well,
Yeah.
well, I think the station is at 56, was it? But
This guy's just a creepy,
Yes, sir.
dirty old man.
57. Yes, sir.
I mean, it's certainly compressed.
You're talking about the shape of the bullet?
Yeah, I'm talking about how it's.
Yeah, so this is a jacketed hollow point bullet. It's so it's a different style than this bullet. It actually has a hollow cavity right here, and its purpose is when it hits to expand, and the term we use is mushroom. So this is kind of a normal shape for a jacketed hollow point bullet.
Well, thank you.
I did bend the petals out, but the petals, much like the nose area here, do not engage the rifling. It's not, the diameter isn't wide enough. So this is the bearing surface, and this is what I'm looking at.
And so the part that you call petals is from what part of the bullet?
So it's part of the nose area, and again, it's designed to expand out.
He wants to say idiot. You know he wants to say idiot.
You know that this, well, the weapon we're talking about here, when we talked about how the bore, do you know how the bore was made in that barrel?
It was a boring tool, you dick.
Are you familiar with any of the milling techniques for barrels?
Not with H&K, sir.
Okay, so you don't know if they use like a computer numerical control to create the bore.
See, he's trying to make this guy sound
CNC
like he's an
milling.
idiot and is failing.
I believe that the bore is made with button rifling, but I would have to contact H&K to confirm.
And now you say that if you did the test fire of that weapon and compared it to these
Oh, I wish. This is
projectiles
also
that
a
were
Miller hat
recovered
hat.
centering
So
on top, so
told you all my cowboy hats are Miller hats.
Yes, I did a comparison.
And how many of these H&K 40 calibers have you examined?
I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, have you examined other ones?
I've examined a number of H&Ks, but I couldn't give you a number.
Well, and having done that, have you ever gone back and made comparisons to the other ones?
No, sir, I haven't.
Okay. So what we're talking about here is a science of absolute inclusion. Once you find a match, it's game over.
Dude, don't say that.
Is that a question or?
Yes, it is.
Sorry.
I'm saying, is that the way it works?
Well, I testify that it's my opinion that the ammunition was fired by the pistol.
Good
Well,
answer.
and this is based on the training and
Good
experience
answer.
that you have. So whoever trained you said this is how it works. Is that correct?
Well, what we did, we read research, we did tests ourselves. And so the training really establishes the foundation for the field.
Do you have any idea how many of these H&K 40 caliber weapons were manufactured?
No, sir, I don't.
And they are manufactured in Germany, oh, they're not?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, are you aware that in the United States and Germany, they use different metals to make barrels, for example?
I would have to confirm that, but
You can trust me on it if you'd like, but,
Don't trust him.
and they also use different manufacturing methods.
Objection. That's assuming facts not in
You're right.
evidence.
that's getting into manufacturing, and you're correct. Over time, they do change manufacturing techniques.
Okay, for example, H&K advertises
He's testifying
barrel in that weapon
that I
is
know.
good for at least 10,000 rounds. Would you
He's
say that's a lot
testifying.
of rounds for a gun?
Yeah.
Okay. So the barrel must be pretty stout material.
Yes.
Okay. And there must be very tightly controlled manufacture.
Yes.
Okay. And so what I'm suggesting or asking you is you don't make a comparison of these unknown projectiles to other barrels other than the one
The
that's
witness isn't an
submitted to
idiot. It's
you.
just not his
That's
job to
correct.
know what
So you
metals
really
are made
don't
in the
know
bullet.
whether these
He's a scientist.
projectiles
He's a
could have
forensic
possibly
scientist that
been
looks at
fired from
markings on
another
bullets
weapon.
and say, do these markings match those markings, which match
That's not my
the
opinion.
rifling on the barrel? Nothing
Well,
else
but
this
your
gany's
opinion is
asking has
based on
anything to do with his
and
job.
what you
This is actually a very
believe.
good witness.
The point is, you don't do these other tests, so you cannot know.
Well, we do. There is research out there. There's a famous one where they took 10 Ruger barrels that were manufactured one after another on the assembly line, and then bullets are fired through those barrels. And I actually took that test in research, and you can tell which bullet came from which barrel. So a test is given, again, with 10 barrels that are manufactured one after another on the assembly line. The test is given to us, and I scored 100% on that test. So obviously the science works.
And was that done with an H&K P2000 40 caliber?
No, it wasn't.
Okay. I have no other questions. Thank you, sir.
That was a stupid line of
Any
questioning.
further redirect?
I have a couple questions, if I may proceed, Your Honor. There was talk about the hollow point, and I just want to make it clear what it is that we were talking about.
That was totally ineffective cross-examination.
States Exhibit 57.
In
Permission
my
to
view.
publish? All right. So this is a jacketed hollow point round, correct?
That's correct.
You said there's a thing here. There's a hollow. What was it that you described it as? A hollow cavity, or how did you describe it?
So it's called a jacketed hollow point bullet. This would be a full metal jacket bullet. It has the nose is solid. The hollow point would have a hollow cavity. So this would be more of like a penetrating round where it just kind of goes through. This would be like a hollow point round, and when it hits, it would expand. It's designed to expand.
What is the purpose and reason for the designing a bullet that expands on impact?
So there's two kind of general reasons why. One is to create a little bit bigger of a wound cavity when it hits a person. The other thing is if it hits a wall or something, it's not going to penetrate quite as much. So like in a home defense situation, you could hit a wall and it may not penetrate through and hit somebody else kind of situation.
Well, again, this witness isn't on here as an expert witness. He's on here to say, I examined the rounds
you had mentioned
that were fired from this gun. I test fired rounds from this gun. They had the same markings. The end. That's all. He's not here to be an expert.
If y'all can see the screen,
respect.
It's kind of like flower
how
petals
guns
that
are
kind of
made.
come out. So
He's just here to say, I did a scientific experiment, and this is what happened.
Petal, it's designed to kind of break like that. There's little lines that are scratched in there. It's called skives, but they're designed to create petals and mushroom out.
So these are because you said they had lines. These are perforated bullets that have lines to allow it to petal out in this design.
Yeah, that's a normal looking design when it expands. Now I did bend the petals out straight because the petals can kind of cover the bearing surface, and so I bent them out straight. But typically they kind of mushroom, like look like a mushroom. If that makes any sense at all.
So I do want to actually ask you about that. You said that the petals cover which area again?
The bearing surface, where it engages the rifle.
So the bearing surface is what engages the rifle.
Yeah.
Which is essentially what engages it to spin, like you said, a quarterback throwing the football.
That's correct.
To go further and more precise.
Yes, more accurate. Yep.
And you look for rifling when you conduct an examination on an unknown source, correct? Try to see what's the rifling
It's
on this
2:30
compared to a
a.m. here
known
in Korea.
source.
Yes, that's a class characteristic that we look at.
So this bullet looks pretty beat up. And it may be difficult to see.
Actually, in our field, this bullet is in really, really good shape. the base is in round. It's not out of
Rounds.
It's in excellent shape.
So this area right here, past the pedals, where it, you know, is solid, like you said, in good shape, that is where you're looking for the rifling. I'm sorry about that.
Yes, typically it's, again, this bullet kind of shows it. You kind of have the nose area that's kind of pointed down, it kind of tapers. This part is not going to engage the rifling. This part and beyond is going to engage.
Now, I'm going to permission to approach you. I'm going to show you what, again, been marked as, and admitted, as states Exhibit 57. If I show you, you can take a hold of that. If I show it to you like that, with the naked eye alone, as you're looking at it right now in this courtroom, can you tell me anything about the rifling?
Well, I don't like to do analysis on the stand, and as I get older, my eyes aren't getting as good, so I need glasses to. But I do have in my notes that it's a polygonal 6 right rifling.
So is it safe to say then that this is something that's done on a microscopic level?
Yeah, I mean, typically I put it under a stereoscope to look at the rifling and then count the lands and grooves and look at the direction of twist.
Okay. You also talked about an article that was put out or a study that was put out with regards to the 10 Ruger barrels that were manufactured one after the other, and that science allows you to say exactly which barrel fired which particular bullet. Do you know why that is?
I do.
Could you please explain to the jury why that is the case?
So the surface of tools and firearms, they have random, unique, microscopic features on them. Again, kind of like fingerprints. And when the barrel is made out, it's almost always made out of steel, a real hard metal. And when it comes in contact with softer metals like brass or copper, which ammunition is made out of usually, the harder barrel is going to leave those random, unique, microscopic features on the softer metal.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Mr. Brown, your excuse.
Thank you so much.
You're released from the subpoena you made. You may go back to your business.
All right. Burnt Umbrage says, same guy talking about this former dude that tried to date her, pen and paper football after sacking his quarterback 3 times in a row and earning all the penalties. No more stupid football game. All right. Go through a couple of things that I found interesting. Thank you for that super chat again, Burnt Umbrage. Thank you so much for your support you're showing today. Legal Vices. So the prosecutor's asking the wrong questions. No, the prosecutor's asking the right questions of this guy. All these here kind of all go together. We'll talk later. Serial murderer case, and they don't use an expert on the bullets. Yeah, so this guy's the forensic scientist. He's not there to talk about how barrels are manufactured, etc. His whole job is to do exactly what he's doing, and the prosecutor walked him down that line of questioning quite well, I thought. His job is to say, I look at things under a microscope. I looked at the bullets that were fired into the heads of the victims. I took them and I matched them to the patterns on those bullets to the rifling in the handgun that was taken from the defendant's truck. Now, I test fired several more rounds through that same weapon. I put them under a microscope and I compared them to the bullets that were removed from the heads of the people. And those bullets that I test fired had the same markings as the bullets that were pulled out of the heads of the victims. So therefore, my conclusion as a forensic scientist is that the bullets that were test fired and the bullets that were pulled out of the heads of the victims came from the same gun, and they all match the patterns as something that was fired out of this particular handgun. The end. That's the whole purpose of his being on the stand, and that's what he testified to. And I thought the prosecution did a decent job. Maybe went a little too long, but that's kind of what the prosecution's doing here. But I think they asked the right questions. I think he gave the right answers. And the defense lawyer, he was just trying to say, okay, you don't really know what you're
Ladies and
doing.
gentlemen of the jury, we're gonna actually recess for lunch.
Okay. Wow,
And
that was early.
you'll be on break until 1 p.m. It's 11:35, so you have a little longer lunch break than we've had. Again, I'll just remind you not to discuss the facts of the case, not to watch any news accounts or read any articles regarding this case. So you'll be on lunch break until 1 p.m. Thank you.
All right, the jury.
Bird Dumber says, I'm watching about 5 minutes behind, but did my second super chat not come through? It came through. We just read it. You'll get there in about 5 minutes. We were just waiting for this witness to get off the stand. But yeah, this guy here, this defense lawyer, he was just trying to say he doesn't know what the atomic structure of the barrel is. He doesn't know what plant manufactured it. So therefore, he doesn't really know how to compare rifling marks on the bullet. So he was just trying to say he's not an expert in his own field of doing this. It came off sounding like an idiot. And Matthew Giannotti says, I'm very curious what you think about the Twitter files flop. Kind of off topic, but I value your thoughts. Well, the first day was very exciting, wasn't it? We've got emails and things that are showing them suppressing comments regarding the laptop. I mean, that was okay for what it was. Subsequent reveals, which haven't happened yet, were pretty well hyped. So I don't think it was a flop for what the first day was intended to show, but certainly the follow-up has, well, I don't even know if you could call it a flop because it's been non-existent. So, who knows? Who knows? Elon's got to come up with something better than he did the first day. The first day asked a lot of interesting questions, raised a lot of interesting issues, and now it's kind of like the payoff's not there. So, that's my thought. Matthew G and I says none of it was government involvement. It was essentially revenge porn. I don't. Well, I mean, there was people that were there was people in the Democratic Party in the Biden camp that were asking for this thing to be suppressed, and they were getting their favors. But again, at the end of the day, private company, they can sort of almost kind of do whatever they want. I mean, there's a few election laws and a few election related laws that they can't mess with, but at the end of the day, their company, they can kind of suppress who they want to, as long as it doesn't violate relevant election laws. So, if they wanted to use it to bring down a politician, oh hell, that's not anywhere near where it needs to be. JSD's legal advice's defense lawyer fucked up and incriminated his client more than helped him with that cross. I kind of agree with you. It certainly didn't help, and it may have hurt. Oh, well, not to get into a Hunter Biden laptop argument here. I'm looking at it specifically from the viewpoint of what was suppressed by Twitter. Any reference to it, any news articles mentioning this were scrubbed basically and prevented from being there. But Majestic American Woodcock, what a lovely bird. Matt is flat out wrong. He doesn't know the contents of the laptop and thinks it's just news. No, it's not that. I mean, they're emails. There was a lot of influence peddling in Ukraine, allegedly, talking about how Biden got his son hooked up with a hell of a good deal with a company in Ukraine. There's allegedly a lot of stuff on that laptop. I haven't seen all the contents myself, of course, but it's an important question that should have been allowed. Twitter decided not to do it, and we have the email showing why. But in and of itself, it's interesting, but I was expecting a lot more to come on the second day. There was no second day, so whatever. Yep. See, that's the part I'm interested in about. So from this perspective, indicated the members of the Democratic National Committee reached out to get the story suppressed. Twister acted as an agent of the government suppressing speech. That's the part that interests me. And I don't think that part was a flop. I don't think day one was a flop. I think the lack of day two, when it was promised, is a flop in that respect. They raised all the right questions, they whetted your appetite, and then he ultimately didn't deliver. But well, there we are on that. We don't, that's a topic for a different show. Here, what we've got is I don't know when they're going to end this thing. I don't know when they're going to end this trial. They've got what they need now. Essentially, this last witness was a very important witness. The witness yesterday was a very important witness. So I think we've got the important witnesses down now. We've linked him to the bullets in the head. We've linked him to the bullets that were test fired. They're the same. So I think the prosecution has done its job. And this is a strong witness. That was a strong witness. If I was them, he would have been one of the last witnesses that I put on the stand. So I would hope that they rest their case this afternoon. I don't know who they're going to put on after this. I don't know. I mean, this would be a good last witness. They go through all this and then they end it with, look, scientifically, this gun fired the rounds that were in those people's heads. That's it. That's a mic drop and walk off thing. You don't want the jury to forget what they've just heard. And because it wasn't presented in perhaps as focused a way as possible, you don't want to confuse the jury by brushing it under the carpet and changing the subject to something completely irrelevant. You want it to end on this, so when you give your closing arguments, you can focus on that as the centerpiece of your arguments, I guess. Flux, you're back. Well, you're here just in time for us to get ready to leave here. We're kind of wrapping this up. So, and I hope the prosecution wraps it up, because as I said, the judge is expecting to be done, as in have a verdict by Friday. He put out 2 weeks for the trial, and tomorrow will be Wednesday. And I don't know what, if any, defense will the defense put on. Because again, the defense doesn't have to put on any defense. The defense doesn't have to prove anything. The defense doesn't have to prove he didn't do it. The defense can literally just stand up and say, the defense rests. The state did, and then argue in the closing arguments that the state did not meet their burden of proof. If they do have anybody, when did they compare the serial number on the gun? I mean, do you mean when did they show that it was his service weapon? That was very early on. It was very early on in the proceedings. Yeah, if that's what you're talking about, like day 2, I believe it was, in the afternoon, if I remember correctly. This has just been a mind-numbing trial. So again, as I was saying, the defense don't have to prove anything. If they do put on a case, I mean, the defendant's not getting anywhere near the damn stand, that's for sure. I can see maybe 1 or 2 experts that they would put on to say what the police did by handcuffing him to a chair for 10 hours, depriving him of sleep, keeping him in a brightly lit room, not feeding him enough during that time, leaving him isolated for long periods, and then building rapport by promising to maybe perhaps give him some favors amounts to a psychological torture designed to coerce him into a confession. So again, that's just me. I don't know what else they would put on. So I would guess maybe 1 or 2, psychologists or psychiatrist type people that would come in and just say what they did amounts to torture and coercion. And I don't think it's going to be effective. I don't think you need his confession now. His confession helps. His confession helps, but I don't think it's necessary because of the last witness. Okay, so he says, I didn't do it. He never confesses. You still have the forensic scientist who said the bullets that came from those heads was fired from this gun, and that's his gun. That's enough, I think, to get a conviction. In his truck, in the driver's side door, his weapon, everything lines up. So I mean, my prediction is he's going to go away forever. Life in prison without parole. That's my prediction. But I was much more worried at the end of last week after all of that tedious, tiresome, really, really bad body cam footage. And then that extremely boring interrogation video. Days of that. I was kind of worried that they'd lost the jury, lost the plot, and the jury was going to be like, okay, we don't know what you're getting at here. We don't see anything. We haven't seen anything terribly incriminating. So we're going to let the guy off. I was legitimately worried about that last week. Now this week, once we got through the interrogation tapes, things focused up a bit. They're doing their job a little bit better, and so I'm confident, as confident as you can be. I mean, you can never say this is absolutely what's going to happen, but I'm pretty confident that they'll come back pretty quickly, I believe, with a guilty verdict. So let's see how it goes. That's really all we can do. Let's hope they wrap up today or tomorrow morning. The defense puts on at most one or two witnesses on Wednesday. Thursday, they go to closing arguments, give it to the jury. The jury comes back Thursday night or Friday with a guilty verdict, and this piece of shit trial can go away. This is bad. It's not a good trial. All right. Well, what I'm going to do now is we're getting ready to wrap this up. I'm going to dump us over into Andrew Branca's stream with the good trial. I haven't heard from John yet, so I don't know if he's awake. I don't know what's going on. Biz Amanda says, I'm glad I had this trial to wipe out the uncomfortable effect of Aussie Overlord's stream about how to have sex with a dolphin video. There is that. Okay. Thank you for helping us end on that stream. Let me take a minute here to set all of this up. Let me scramble through here and see. I think we've got all the super chats. Yep. Reviewing my super chats. Yep, we got them all. So I'm just kind of going in the background here and setting things up so we can dump into Andrew Branca's streaming of the better Texas trial. Give me just one quick second, and then we'll go over there and say hi and let him know that I will be there shortly. YouTube studio, setting us up. Content. Live. Day 7, Texas v. Ortiz. Oh, all right. Let's give me just a quick second here. I was waiting for John. Otherwise, I would have had this done before. That's done. And customize this bad boy. Oh, got to save it here. Save that. Sorry for all of this festivity here. A couple more clicks and we'll be done and ready to go. Law of self-defense. Law of self-defense. All right, there we go. We're going to save that. And then we'll wrap this bad boy up. All right, it is done. 2 more clicks, and we should be ready to go over to Andrew Branca. When everybody goes over there, if you get sent over there automatically, great. if you don't get sent over to Andrew Branca and you want to watch this other trial of a Texas cop who shot someone, then please just go to Law of Self-Defense and click on his currently live video. And that will take care of it. And tell him hi, and I will be there as soon as possible. Hit that like button on your way out. Hit the subscribe button. We're under 32,500 again. I'd like to get back up to 32,500, so do me that favor. All right, here we go. Mods, thank you for being here. Thank you for doing your thing. You guys are awesome. Chat, you're the best. Those of you that are watching this in the background and just have it on for background noise, do me the solid. Come on, reach over here, hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed, once again, I would be greatly honored if you would reach down there and hit that subscribe button. We'll see you tomorrow for the same story. Take care. Good night, and see you over on Andrew Branca's stream. Bye now.